Alrighty, I'm back. I hope that's better. The connection was made a lot quicker this time. I didn't have much struggle with the restream, so maybe it's better. I've switched internet, so fingers crossed. Hoping that that this works. I've stayed on the lower resolution as well, so this is going to have to be it, I think. Right. So hopefully people are seeing me again and talking to me again. Back now, let me just put that in there just in case. And fingers crossed that that's working. I've got 2 people back I see in the stream, so good. All right, I hope that's good. And otherwise, please all blame Mr. Beads if it's got worse. So, yeah, Gukesh still having a think, 12.5 minutes somehow. Only 2 people on the stream now. Ooh. Is it okay, Mr. Beads? What do you? I'm not quite sure what that icon is. It's tiny for me. Ah, cool. Ah, great. There we are. Very good. It's well, let's hope that that all goes fine, and we will see. Oh. No choppiness. Okay, no, it connected way quicker, like normal, basically. Whereas this morning I was restarting and restarting. Not worse, anyway. Okay. We will see. It's okay. So Gukesh is still actually thinking somehow, and Leela is suggesting a few moves here. There's saying bishop e6 is way the best, but well, actually, it seems to feel there's quite a significant difference there with all those things. So knight g4, yeah, I mean, I like knight g4. This is it's quite interesting. Leela says the move bishop d2 is the best, not bishop c1, which is kind of challenging. So let's just finish off bishop c1, see whether this is really the correct reason. Yeah, I like bishop c5 now, just hitting the pawn on f2 here. And I mean, white's got several ideas. Rook e2 is one. Rook f1 feels wrong, really. I mean, you play the move bishop f5, or the most obvious move is to go knight e4, counter hit. It does seem better, making Mr. Beads wise. Yeah, that's... Yeah, you mustn't let this happen too often, right? But yeah. Yeah, and white's threatening h3 next. So yeah, I mean, there's some interesting ideas. Bishop b6 is vaguely possible. I mean, the idea would be to play h3 f5, takes, but I guess that rook e4 would be possible, and you're protecting the pawn on g4 there, so you wouldn't do that. So I think bishop b4 would be the idea. And then you have to decide where to put the rook. I don't want to put it on f1. You know, I think then, you know, you could consider, well, this is quite interesting somehow. f5, knight c3. It's a little bit wild, but it's maybe not so bad, actually. I could play the bishop back to c5, maybe, or play the move a5 just to stop you from playing a3, b4, h3, knight f6. It's not so crazy somehow, this. But Gukesh has just played the move h6, so he didn't fancy those adventures. Presumably he was wondering a little bit about bishop e6, knight g5, so he's played this very normal move h6. So yeah, I was just sort of thinking, funnily enough, that the nice thing about this move is that it gives the queen a runaway square to h7 somehow. So you know, that might be an interesting idea. So what is Leela thinking here? A3, rook e8, b4. Whoa, It's quite interesting, actually. Leela's quite keen on white here, actually. So Leela's saying A3 and thinks that you have to allow B4 now. Whoa. Queen C2. H3, rook AD1, G4. Queen C1, D4. It's quite nice, this, for white. You know, I mean, it's not huge, but it's a definite advantage here. So I think the interesting thing here maybe is to think, so H6 played, A3, you're threatening B4 just to gain space. So why wouldn't black be the move A5 here? What I'm thinking of here, there's two possibilities. I mean, D4 is interesting. And then we have to decide how we want to do it. I mean, even Queen D4 is not stupid. You know, takes, obviously, this is a little bit awkward. The point about doing this is that when you go C6, then I can play the move knight A4 and start hitting you here. That's the reason it's nice to include A3, A5 in this position. But I kind of like to just leave that pawn on E5 for a little bit longer, because, you know, when you play a move like D4, you resolve everything, and even if it's a bit worse for black, it's clear what he has to do. Whereas whilst you leave a pawn on there, then it's less clear. So maybe Queen B3 in this position. And then we have to decide, I suppose the main point you might think about is, can black play Queen takes D3? So I'm going to go rook AD1 here to chase the queen back. And if A4, I've got Queen B5. So, you know, and then afterwards I can take on A4. So that little intermezzo doesn't really make much difference. Zwischenschub, as Natasha would say. So the queen's got to go back somewhere. F5, G6, H7. H7 seems a little bit radical immediately. G6, F5. I'm not sure. The point is, what white wants to do, well, he's got two possibilities, right? I mean, he's got knight b5, hitting c7 there. He could also do it with knight d5, actually, which is also attacking e7 as well. Feels like it might be setting up some tactics somehow. And, you know, it sort of depends as well. If you go to g6, then knight d5 is very tempting because you're threatening knight takes e5, you know, so... Yeah, I don't know, if you've just played some random move, I could go knight e5 and knight e7 here. So it probably does depend a little bit on the move you want to play here. But this looks very promising for white, I think. You know, I'd say that you've probably got very nice compensation here for white, and a nice breadth of possibilities. Takes. Yeah, where are you going to go with your knight? Knight b8. I mean, we've got all sorts of ideas here. Bishop d4 even, for example. You know, with here we're getting on to e7, and if you were to play f6, then I'd have something like d6, for example. So I mean, this is quite unpleasant, Queen d3. So, but of course, yeah. I guess that rook b8 is going to be the move, but you've actually got. You're starting to think about all sorts of tactics. It won't quite work, unfortunately, yet, but you know, these sort of ideas. But you just go rook a8, hitting the bishop again, so that's not that great. But these sort of ideas start to become okay. I mean, we go rook d1 simply, and then we might be threatening, you know, some d4. I mean, you can even, you know, have moves like bishop c1 then, or queen b5. You know, that's very nasty. When you played a3, a5, the b5 square is really nice, normally for a knight, but the queen's not bad either. I mean, in this sort of position, you, although I don't like it particularly normally in such positions, I think you're starting to think about bishop g4 and just playing it like this, and maybe trying to play the move knight d4 just to exchange off the bishops. But it's not clear that this is okay for black, because something like queen takes d4, for example, knight b5. This guy, yeah, queen c5. You're still maybe hanging on, are you? Because d4 takes, you're protecting the pawn. But it's feeling uncomfortable, right? I mean, I'm starting to feel like I've got to watch out here that things aren't going to drop. Oh, players' style is influenced by their personality. Well, yeah, hard to say. Really hard one to say. I don't think so, really. I mean, I'm quite. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm in general personality, I'm quite a bit more reserved normally in normal life. In streaming, of course, I'm a lunatic, but in normal life, I'm a bit of a. I'm quite reserved, quite don't make so much noise somehow normally in normal adult company. But in chess, quite quite active, quite dynamic somehow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe, I think, in terms of games and all that, I think there's elements of your personality that maybe don't come out socially or whatever, but they're there, and those tend to get, exaggerated when you're playing games. I think that's uh, Um, exactly. Yeah, be getting attacked all the time. It's. I think that's the thing somehow that there are, there are aspects to your personality that exist, but in games they get exaggerated, whereas they might not come out in normal social life. It's or maybe games show what you could be like if you were completely free of any inhibitions, and so yeah. Some players you feel that they do, but some players feel that that really does hold true. But I would say in general, not necessarily. No. Yeah, I mean, there are. I think the world champions are very much, but they tend to be like the same for everything, right? I mean, Magnus is hyper competitive for everything, and then also on the chessboard. Luc van Velde as well, a Dutch player, I always felt, hyper competitive all the time. Whereas for a lot of people, like me as well, it's all very good quote there, Dangerous. Players like me, it's a lot more of an effort. It's a really a personality that you put on in order to fight. You have to make yourself, want to fight at all costs and everything. And so I think there's the world champions. I think tend to be very monochromatic somehow, like that. They just like that all the time in everything, and that makes it very easy for them. Whereas other players tend to have to make an effort to be better somehow. Now, I hope that Ding's not thinking about playing d4, because I think d4 is a bit too early. I think a3 would be a very sensible move here. I mean, it's got to be the move. You're threatening to play b4. You give black a decision, stop a5 or not. And it stops the knight coming to b4, and it keeps all of the options open. And I think that in any case, including a3, a5 after d4 is to white's advantage, because it weakens the b6 square. So but yeah, Ding's thinking a long time again here. So we're going to see how that looks. Let's just drop back into Leela, what Leela thinks. Leela's still just saying this line, Queen c2. Oh, and then saying knight d4. That's quite a radical option here. But this doesn't look too bad for black. The only problem is holding this bishop on c5 and holding the pawn on d4. Knight c7. We get it. This looks very much like the Gukesh game from yesterday. Yeah. Queen e2, a5. Still some difficulties for black to develop the queen side. So, this is looking just like Gukesh Ding yesterday. That would be funny. So yeah, still some problems for black to develop the queen side, but that's how Leela's trying to do it. H3 is possible, but I don't think H3 it's not a useful move somehow. This position, what's Leela's giving? 23 to 16, not such a big, a little advantage there. Queen b3, queen c7, knight e2. Oh, that's a nice plan. Queen to c3, knight to f4. That is a nice plan from Leela. But I don't see really that this h3 move is particularly necessary straight away. Queen b3 is interesting as well. a5, rook d1. Interesting that Leela wants knight g4 there somehow. So a3 takes and then playing d4. That's quite interesting as well. But I've got to say that A3 is, I think, also from a completely human perspective, from a human perspective, A3 feels like a very, very natural move. And I mean, if Black wasn't going to play knight G4 last move, he's not going to play it this move somehow, you know, not because A3 even stops bishop B4. So I think, you know, you can be pretty sure that knight G4 isn't happening soon. So A3 does feel like a very nice move, you know, and then just give White the opportunity, give Black the opportunity to spend a bit of time and have to decide whether to play this move or to ignore it. I mean, this is a possibility, a very common idea. But if you've given White the B4 move, then I would have thought in general that you're quite happy here. And then for me now, a natural move would be to play H3. You've made your game here. Now you play the move H3. You know, that seems very, very natural. Because, you know, after a move like bishop F5, you could probably think about, well, I mean, also, even a move like Queen B3 is not completely stupid. You could definitely think about it, sacrifice the pawn or dare White to take it. But a move like D4 is quite possible. Then you need to take with the queen. Obviously, takes rook E1 is rather embarrassing. The D4 bishop hangs. But then you could take with the queen on D4 and just claim that you're playing the ending there. I mean, because if you take on and take, I'm even threatening bishop F6 somehow now. And if C6, well, we can definitely think about playing B5, and this B pawn's proving quite useful. I mean, then this would be the utter disaster, of course. Weak light squares and weak pawns on there. B6, bishop B7, okay. Yeah, this is I do think A3 is going to be. It's going to be. To be honest, I don't think that Gukesh will play rook E8. I'm sure he'll play A5. It's just not humanly natural to Queen C2 sneaky. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I guess you mean it after here. Yeah. What you can say indeed is that after A3, sorry, A3 rook E8, B4 bishop F8, H3. Bishop F5 here, Queen D3. Yeah, you can play Queen C2 sneakily here. That is possible. You've got to watch out for those. But it's not 100% clear, right? Even this, because I'd be sort of thinking, oh, can I go a knight H4 and and then I'd have maybe a B5 or a knight B5. It's not 100% clear. There's stuff you need to think about with Black whenever you do this. But yeah, instead of H3, Leela was looking at playing Queen C2 there. So presumably, feeling that after Bishop F5 wants to go Rook D1. But there are loads of ways you can play this, right? I mean, Knight G4 is quite interesting here as well. Just maybe trying to get something like this, and claim that you're getting this position, but with the but this is not so clear somehow. I mean, you've pushed White back a little bit, but now you've got to try and hold on to this pawn. And it's trickier because C5, you can't follow up with B6 because bishop A8. And if rook B8, then you've got bishop F4. It's why I always end up audio much better. Oh, great. Fantastic. So it looks like we have to all give our thanks to Mr. Beads there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get a quick cup of coffee. I'm going to leave you for a couple of minutes. I'm going to put you on Leela there. Sorry, on Leela here. And just give me 2 seconds and I'll just grab a coffee. In my, my brother got this for me from the British Computer Museum, which is fantastic. A Spectrum 48K mug. I used to have a Spectrum, a Sinclair Spectrum. Don't know whether that means anything to anyone. It will to Mr. Beats. He's very old. But yeah, I used to have one of those. And a ZX81 as well. Used to play chess on it, of course. So see you in a couple of minutes. Right, back. Ah, a3 played by Ding. He's doing a good job. Yeah, I'm just fetching coffee. Yeah, no worries. I'm back now. It's oh, sorry, just close the door. I did take the chance for a biscuit. I will confess to that. I also started up my robot cleaners. I've yeah, got very keen on robot cleaners. It's incredible. It really is an amazing technology. Best technology I've ever seen. Somehow it. Let's have a look. A3, A5 played. I thought Gukesh would play this. It's too. You just as a human player, you can't not play A5 because you just feel rook E8, B4. I'm giving away too much. But I guess Leela's getting quite interested now. Oh, Leela wants D4 now. Yeah. This is the kind of the point, right? This is what I was pointing out, that the A3, A5 really weakens the black queen side now. Don't forget your crumpet. Oh, the New Zealand gluten-free biscuit options are limited. Ooh, yeah, that's gluten-free stuff. My my ex-wife actually was had a gluten that was just intolerance. I think it wasn't too strong, but yeah, we ended up eating because I didn't mind too much. We just ended up eating gluten-free at home all the time, and so got to be an expert in finding biscuits and stuff like that. But there's I guess you know the mate, right? There's Dr. Share. Had lots of very good biscuits, and yeah, I mean, just the local stores for us, Marks and Spencers. They're big free from sections in British supermarkets. Actually, it's very impressive. Defaults to very natural moves. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Ah, that's very sweet. That's very sweet. It's good. I mean, yeah, I loved bread somehow, so that was a little bit tough. Making her oh, Paul. It's I hardly made it out to New Zealand. Okay, yeah, that's a shame because they got they got some nice biscuits, I have to say. But my wife made her own bread actually. We bought a bread making machine, and that was actually quite good, gluten free. It you had to eat it very quickly because it went bad very quickly, but it was very good actually. So I can definitely recommend that. Yeah, so after c6, we take knight a4. This is the key problem, that the knights give a very unpleasant. The fact that you've played a3, a5 is really very unpleasant for black. This is, I mean, Kramnik would be licking his lips about this, Capablanca as well, because this is quite nice. I mean, Leela, of course, manages to keep it to a minimum, but yeah, this is nice, right? I mean, you will play these positions very, very happily all the time. The engines will hold it for you, but that is definitely an idea. Yeah, the only thing is, depends. We'll see. Probably sort of see how Ding is feeling somehow. I mean, the only thing is, of course, it sort of clarifies everything and gives Gukesh a clear. The chess may now resume. Yes. Eclair donut coffee and more. Dear me. Oh, but in America, you just always get magnificent breakfasts and everything. I went a couple of times with my ex-wife again. She was doing a conference, educational conference in Chicago. So went there a couple of times, and the food, the food, the food, the food. Oh, it was so good. Yeah, the problem is this. Now that Black's played a5 against a3, this knight on c3 has got this great square to a4 and then b6 or c5. This is quite uncomfortable. The only thing I'm sort of wondering. I mean, I was quite thinking about queen b3 here actually. What does Leela wants to go for it? I was thinking queen b3 was was maybe quite interesting. You know, whilst the bishop is still on there, but Leela's saying queen d3. I was saying rook d1 now. Not quite sure why rook d1, but queen b5, queen f5, rook d1. This is nice pressure, you know, for white. What is Leela giving that as a score? 23, 24. Just thinks it's basically equal or black's fine. I was thinking this would be really good play for whenever Leela sacks a pawn. Leela thinks it's fine, but Leela's hoping for a draw by repetition there. So queen b3, yeah. If black doesn't take the pawn, then I think you are feeling pretty happy somehow, yeah, because the idea of putting the queen to b5 when black's played a5 is quite nice somehow. H3 is probably even more ambitious than a Mexican restaurant in the lobby. Yeah, no, breakfasts are incredible in America. I mean, food's amazing in America, right? I mean, you go to the supermarkets. I'm trying to think, was it Whole Store? I saw a lot of them around Chicago, but oh, wow, the food and the restaurants are really good as well. It's just, yeah, no. I mean, you know, Europe's gorgeous as well, and but somehow America I always found was that extra step up somehow. Only problem is there's just so much of it around, so much lovely stuff that, you know, it's hard not to to dip in there. I think H3 is you know, kind of a bit more ambitious somehow. You know, it's you're just sort of saying, okay, well, I can actually play D4 whenever I like, and you're going to have to guess the right moment to do it. So yeah, this is quite interesting, but it's I guess it's a little bit more tricky to. You could also just mess it up somehow, but. For example, here Leela just saying, okay, and now I'm going to be playing d4. But yeah, it's not 100% clear. It could you could end up just messing up your advantage completely. I think this would be a good. This would be one of those moments where, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a moment where we see how good Ding is feeling about himself. But I would say that, you know, d4 is a good move, but it's maybe clarifying things a bit too early. Maybe it's making it too easy for Gukesh to just find some natural moves. I mean, you have to play bishop d8 because rook d8, bishop b6 looks awful. And then, you know, he just finds some natural moves, and then you just sort of say, okay, you know, well, Gukesh will just sit and hold that somehow. If it was Magnus playing white, you'd sort of be a little bit worried for black, but maybe it's just a little bit too early somehow, you know. Sorted food. Oh, okay. No, I've never been to New Orleans. Never been. I haven't been very often to America. Somehow, I've been to New York once, which was amazing. Well, and Chicago twice. Puerto Rico as well. Which I guess counts as a US state, right? It is a US state, but that was a little bit different. But no, I haven't been to the US very much. H3 played. Ding is ambitious today. Ding is ambitious. My goodness me. Yeah, no, it's true. But Ding, H3 is an ambitious move from Ding. I'm sure he felt that you know, D4 was good, but it just wasn't enough for him. So he's trying to wow. Don't recommend Reno. Okay. It's actually I heard some bad things about Chicago before I left there, but I just thought it was yeah, it was amazing, right? I mean, I guess like everywhere there are places where you shouldn't go, but or maybe at certain times as well. But walking around in the city and just it was just I just thought it was amazing, just incredible, simply, you know. I think the thing that gets you as a European as well, especially I was living in Holland. I think yeah, living in Holland at the time, which is quite a small country. It's just the space, simply. Yeah, it's just incredible. You know, just amazing. So yeah, Ding is being ambitious. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if losing a game like this just freed him and he started just, you know, playing his maximum strength again? That would be an amazing plot twist, wouldn't it? It's not what I'm expecting, but yeah, this is a decent idea here. So yeah, black's got to decide how you want to develop. I think there's two main choices from a human point of view, right? I mean, or well, maybe three main choices from a human point of view. You can play rook e8 and bishop f8. That's a very natural plan, and that's right, yeah, but not New Orleans. The point of h3 is simply that you're stopping black from playing anything to g4, so bishop g4 or knight g4, and also you're stopping black from playing bishop e6. Stopping black from playing bishop e6, queen d7, bishop h3. That's the idea. You're just taking some room away from it. It's always useful having the move h3 in these type of positions. Also gives the king an escape from a back rank threat, which bizarrely enough is always very useful when you play these d4 lines. So it's a good, useful move somehow. You believe in him, me? Yeah, interesting. It could be. So black's got the plan of rook e8 and bishop f8. That's quite a natural idea. You've got playing bishop e6, queen d7, rook d8, something like this. This is a quite natural idea. You've also got the rather concrete bishop f5, where you're basically saying to white, I want to force you to play this structure. I know it's worse for me, but I don't care. I'll do it. But this move h3 is quite useful. I mean, black might get a queen c8, move the queen out of the way, attack the pawn, but you'll get g4 to attack it. So, you know, I don't think that's going to be worrying. But I would expect this to be, yeah, this is a nice version for white. You just have to decide how you want to do it, actually. I mean, queen d4 does not look stupid to me at all. Obviously, taking, you've got these two hanging, which is going to be awkward. If you go c6, I mean, I can play a move just like maybe queen e5 or queen f4, then bring the rook to d1. Feels like a good edge. I mean, even rook d1, yeah, it looks quite nice because you can put the bishop into b6, come with the knight to a4, you know, and you can play g4 and f4 and gain kingside space. So it's a yeah, this bishop f. I don't think you should be forcing d4 now with black. I think you should be probably doing something that will help. I mean, the question is actually, I think maybe at some stage Ding's problem will get that it might be, you know, he might be thinking, God, I've got too many good options now. I'm not quite sure which one to choose. So rook e8, to be honest, I think is very natural. It fits in with this move h6 as well, because, you know, you play h6 to stop bishop g5, so your bishop can retreat to f8. H6, of course, also fits in with bishop e6, doesn't allow knight g5. So both of those moves feel quite logical. Bishop e6 played by Gukesh. Always got nervous about doing this as black, actually, because, you know, you're putting two bishops in front of the e-pawn, and it means you haven't got a rook on e8 to defend the e-pawn. Always got very nervous that I'd forget about my e-pawn and lose that. And now, yeah, I mean, white's got a couple of ideas. You're not going to see d4, I don't think, because, yeah, bishop e6, h3. You didn't really need h3 to play d4 yet. And against bishop e6, it seems strange. So the nice thing about bishop e6 is that queen b3, you'll have queen d3, and then you'll be able to take on c4 with the queen. So probably bishop e6 is stopping queen b3. So yeah, and we need an idea for white. Yeah, queen d2, rook d1 feels vaguely tempting. I mean, to be honest, queen d2. Obviously, I've watched far too much Leela at odds, but queen d2, bishop h6 is there. Yeah, I mean, actually, that's quite a good move. Knight b5 could be interesting. Oh, king h2. That's a very safe move. What was Leela suggesting? Oh, it's the top Leela move. King h2. Wow. Ding is challenging his inner Leela there. This is very nice. Actually, Ding's... we might get another risk. Ding is going for it. Ding is going for it, actually. He really is. Novelty so far. Yeah, I think... Where was the novelty, actually? Let's just have a look at that. It was... How did the game go? Where did the novelty occur? It was... Knight c3, castles, rook e1. I think h6 from Gukesh was the novelty, to be honest. I think that was the that's the move that I have not seen anywhere before. So c5. The king h2 is really nice. Ding's doing a Gukesh to Gukesh actually. So he's played these nice quick moves, h3, king h2. Well, not so quick, but quick for by Ding standards. And just protected his position, kept black at bay, and black's now having to think of a plan. So that's pretty good. But the natural move now, queen d7 would be the most natural move. Rook e8 is possible, and that's Leela's top move, but I think you would have played that the previous move rather than play bishop e6 immediately, possibly. That would have been more natural human. So I would say that queen d7 followed by rook d8 is the most natural. And we need to find something for white against this. I keep on being attracted by queen b3. Because queen takes d3, I'm going to play queen takes b7, which I think looks awkward for black. Queen c4 still, we've got this idea of knight d2 hitting. And that's... So after queen b3, what would black do here? Yeah, game of the decade. Yeah, no. I mean, he's a brilliant tactician, Ding, and he can do all sorts of things. So yeah, and you never know. I mean, yeah, it might be that a loss just frees him somehow from the pressure, and but that would be an amazing plot twist, I have to say. But the question is, am I actually threatening? I mean, if black played a random move, would I be? I don't think I'd be threatening queen b7. I guess that this would probably. I'm a bit corrupted by Leela. I'm starting to just want to sacrifice things, and I'll sacrifice a queen for a knight and say, fine, we'll make that. That is actually quite decent. So you can't actually. I'm not actually threatening to take it, but of course, yeah. But maybe we can use that then. Can we use that in some way? I mean, I could play. Oh, I'm looking at something amazing. So, I mean, I could play the move. Yeah, rook sack, just kept on playing for the win. A4. Queen e2. Yeah, you could play queen e2. It's just yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Rook d1, bishop c1. It's maybe feels a bit less natural than c2. I don't know, ask me why. I think it's just because with the English you normally put the queens on c2 or something. And e2 feels a bit strange. Queen d2 was a bit of a weird one, by the way, from me. It's just I got distracted by this threat of bishop h6. That's why. But queen e2 looks like a good move. But queen b3, queen d7. Sorry, queen b3 in this position. You could play the move a4. Because you've got the vaguely interesting knight a4, b5 in this position. And if queen b5, you want to go rook b8 and trap the queen that way. It's not 100% clear. There's maybe a knight takes c5 here. Rather insane, but yeah, you need to vaguely calculate it somehow. But if you have to play a move like rook b8 somehow, because you'll have to eventually, rook d1, this looks very pleasant for white. Teeing up d4 with the queen on d7 there. So what is Leela looking at here? Oh, Leela wants to play queen d2, rook d8, rook d1. Is bishop h6 in the... No, it's not there yet, but queen c8. This is quite a normal way of playing it. You move the rook out and then the queen back. And we're threatening bishop takes c4, so white... Bishop h6 is going to be tempting, right? Crumble loonies. Queen c1, rook fe8. And now knight b5. That's a nice move. That's what I was always getting hit with this when I was playing against Stockfish, these lines. The knight just came to b5 and it was so irritating. But it's quite interesting, you know, this sort of stuff. And then white just saying this position that I'm better. Yeah, I mean, that's not so bad, but quite a nice idea, this. But you're seeing it in a number of ways, actually. Yeah? Leela just playing putting the rook and ready to put the queen back to c1 somehow. But Leela's quite enjoying these positions somehow. You know, definitely a slight advantage there for white. I think that's the one. I think it's against Bai. Yeah. It's the Queen's Gambit declined anyway. So Leela's top move is to go rook e8 and now rook c1. Ooh, Leela's move looks a little bit funny there. Rook e8, rook c1, bishop f8, rook c2. Leela. Oh, knight a4. Yeah, sort of makes sense, doesn't it, really? But a little bit weird somehow. That rook on d2. Eventually you'll play d4. Yeah. I'd be kind of a bit surprised by rook e8. You know, I sort of feel you would have gone rook e8 before. The only reason you might have gone bishop b6, first of all, is you were worried about a queen b3, and you just thought, at least with bishop b6, after queen b3, I'll be able to take here, maybe. You know, although you can't actually take on the d3 like that because queen b7. So yeah, maybe rook e8. Maybe that's a reasonable move. But I feel I was not quite in the zone somehow. I'm kind of intrigued with queen d2. What is queen d7, queen d2, rook d8? I mean, just in general terms, you could take on d3 as well. But is this dangerous? I guess it's not going to be so dangerous. You can always bring the queen back somehow. Well, you can play knight g5 in this position. In a queen g6, you take and take there. So, this might be really dangerous, right? I'm threatening knight e4 in this position. Wow. Model games. Do you mean in terms of British players, or this would be quite dangerous, must be said. All sorts of tactical ideas here. Yeah, all sorts of tactical ideas. And bishop 5, knight e4 is surprisingly dangerous. I can take back like this, maybe. If you go here, I go rook e4 and get over. I mean, what you could do there is queen d2. That's maybe good. You hit that one and that one at the same time. That would probably work. Check. And takes here. And then you're going to get back. You're attacking this one as well. Okay. Not completely stupid, these lines, but not black isn't that much on the edge somehow. Oh, Leela games. Oh, just take a look on the channel on the Silicon Road and search for Leela. I've got so many model Leela games. Just brilliant Leela games there. It's I've annotated an awful lot of them. I try to spread things out a little bit, but not crazy Leela necessarily, although they're really cool, but just the normal Leela games. Just so many nice ones, so many gorgeous ones. Silicon Road to Chess Improvement has got masses and masses of really great Leela games as well. Some lovely, that lovely combination of tactics and positional play. You know, really very nice. Book of John Nunn's games. Yeah, that's very good as well. He was a really good player. So I think Gukesh is probably a little bit worried here, yeah? Scotch Gambit. I think Gukesh is probably a little bit worried here. This is not a super pleasant position for black to play. So maybe he's a bit unpleasantly surprised as well, actually. At how Ding is playing. Maybe he expected Ding to play d4 quite quickly, you know, and it hasn't actually happened. So yeah, interesting. So okay, let's start trying to do this. So queen d7, yeah, there are several moves. Leela's move is queen d2. My move is queen b3. Chat suggested queen e2, which is also interesting. Yeah. John was apparently, yeah. I mean, I knew he went to Oxford incredibly young, one of the youngest ever, but he was apparently also quite an eminent mathematician as well. I wasn't really sure whether, whether he was just brilliant academically, just brilliant as an undergraduate and fast, or whether he was actually quite an eminent mathematician. But apparently he was too. Yeah, you need to play some crazy Leela games. I mean, there's hundreds, I think, by now on the stream. So you've got a choice, and they're all great. Yeah, Nunn's very good. He's a really good author somehow. Queen e2, very sensible as well. But yeah, queen b3 just feels like a very natural move. And I'm really struggling to think what. Yeah, because if queen d3, queen here is not good. And if you've got to go rook b8 somehow, I mean, you could do something else. I mean, you can wait because queen b7, there's rook fb8, but I'm just going rook d1. I mean, that's the main thing. I'm going rook d1 and d4, and the pressure against b7 is incidental, and I just want to put the queen on b5 maybe as well. So, I mean, I think. Ooh. I mean, what you'd really want to do with black is to play d8, queen c8. That's what you'd really like. Then you'd be a bit more comfortable. So can you play this move? Oh, sorry, can you play this move, rook d8? And after queen b7, claim you're going to trap the queen. An interesting question. I mean, you could play rook takes b2. It's just that this feels rather loose, right, for black. I would have thought that black would be better, but I don't think you can trap the queen because after rook a8, I just go queen b5. And I'm threatening knight takes c5 already, as well as a4. So you can't trap the queen there. So you need to do this, but I can't believe this is what black wants somehow. So I don't think you can do your development. I don't think you can do your rook d8 and queen c8 development. He's very dry, John's sense of humor. Very dry indeed. But it's I used to I didn't get to over there. I was unfortunately this year to London Classic, but you used to have the London Classic commentary room, and so you had Julian Hodgson doing the commentary, and then you had John Spielman and John Nunn sitting in the front row making comments all the time. It was like Stadler and Waldorf, the Muppets. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So yeah, I always enjoyed that. Inspirations. No one in particular, really. Yeah, you've definitely got to read that book, Game Changer. It is very good indeed. I think the follow-up Silicon Road to Chess Improvement is maybe even better, actually. But it's yeah, I think Game Changer is the big story somehow, yeah. And that's also, if you like the both the chess and the story around it, and some idea of the people who made it and why, then that's a really nice yeah. It's but no, I'm not sure anyone really inspired me. I was always like the world champions. I like Karpov when he was world champion, and well, Gary, when I was I think Gary, but he just influenced everyone of my generation, and the way you play and all of that. But yeah. But there wasn't any particular player who really inspired me, I think. I loved all the old players. I was from the very start. I loved all the chess history aspect to it. But yeah, there was no player that really that I really got into. Strange enough, I would have thought Alekin would have suited me really well, but I only got into Alekin much later. Rook b8. Yeah, I'm sure Gukesh was worried about queen d7, queen b3. To be honest, I don't really. Yeah. So he's just he's trying to stop white from playing queen b3 here. So the idea being after queen b3, he can go queen d3 because the b7 pawn is defended. So yeah, it's a decent move. It's a decent move, but it's a little bit. Ding must be getting something by now. Leela's just gradually getting more interested. Yeah, now I think we're starting to wonder whether Queen D2, Bishop H6 is going to work. A Fisher guy, yeah, nah, yeah. Morecambe and Wise, yeah, no, it's no, it's no, not particularly amazingly. Yeah, you would have thought that really is true. No, that was just the challenge somehow. It's Fisher's always somebody I've been very ambivalent about at times. It's funny. I wasn't influenced. I wasn't a 72 kid. I wasn't influenced by that somehow. That's great. Silicon Road was really nice, I thought, but yeah. The Silicon Road is really only about the chess and themes that you see in engine chess. But I did think it was really, really just amazing games, totally amazing games. So yeah, I mean, the interesting thing here is I mean, you are getting interested by this now. You really are. Queen D3 and Knight G5. This is an important move, I think. Although, I mean, there's I mean, there's such a lot of stuff here. I mean, Knight E4 is vaguely interesting as well. Oh, good Lord, there's another move as well. Let me just show you a few moves that are possible. I mean, Rook E4 is kind of interesting here. I'm threatening to go Rook H4. And the idea is Knight E4, I want to go... I could even do it super subtly, couldn't I? Well, Knight takes E5, let's say. The idea is Knight E5, Bishop E4, and I'm going to give mate. Okay, you can give some material back, so it's maybe not so clear. But probably after here as well, Bishop G5 would be a little bit more irritating. But there are so many ideas here. I mean, you can do Knight E4 with the same idea. Here, and Knight takes E5. And again, looking for Bishop takes E4. That's not clear at all. I mean, even moves like Rook D1 are vaguely interesting here. Or there's so much here. There's so many possibilities once you've done this. And of course, you know, the most obvious one is to go Knight takes. Well, actually, even Knight takes E5 is vaguely strong. I mean, takes. I'm threatening Rook H7 here. I'm threatening Rook G5, so you can't go Queen G6. Yeah, you can go Queen H7, of course. That's possible. Thing is, Leela at odds would just do something like this simply, and then claim a slight advantage with the 3 pawns and on your way somehow. That's not true in that position, by the way. But Knight G5 is interesting, stopping Queen G6 and also stopping Queen H7 as well. And if Knight H7, we've got Bishop E4. That's the key thing. So yeah, I mean, how do you? Well, you want to move the rook out of the way, so maybe Rook E8. But yeah, okay, this is really dangerous, right? I mean, I can just go Knight E4. Let's just do it even more. Let's just go Rook E4 here. I'm threatening Queen G6 and Rook H. I mean, yeah. Now this is really dangerous. I mean, basically, what I'm trying to say here is after Queen D2, I seriously think you're threatening to take on H6 now. I seriously believe that. Which I think makes sense somehow because, oh, he's played Queen C2. Curses. Ding. Queen C2. Okay. I think Queen D2 was really strong because I think that Leela was looking at Knight H7, you know, trying to deal with that. So yeah, that's another backwards move that you have to make. Queen C2 is very logical and normal. It must be said. It was Leela's third best move, but the percentages are not so different. So so let's have a look. What does Leela want? Rook E8 again. Knight B5, Bishop F5, Rook D1. Bishop F8, Queen C3. Oh, okay, that's a little bit subtle. Nobody knows why. And now D4. Yeah, I mean, this is very, yeah, this is just very simple. It's just, but I think this is what Ding's going to do, right? He's just going to, he's playing quite fast now, actually. So, but he's got some pretty simple moves to play. Rook D1, Knight B5, and D4. So it's not the same for Gukesh. I mean, this knight d4 takes knight b5 c5. This is not particularly pleasant for black. I mean, you know, you're thinking about taking on e6, actually playing these exchange sacrifices and pouring in through the light squares. But this idea of Leela's is just very strong too, right? I mean, we're just you're just in your squares, and then we're just going to. It does look a bit like the Gukesh game against Ding yesterday. So knight d4 is that's very radical. If Gukesh plays it, I don't think he wants to do that, to be honest. And then you start getting the weird stuff there, like knight h7 from Leela. And then this is then what I mean. I said I don't like having the two bishops in front of the pawn because it can be difficult to develop. And here Leela just making use of this. If you took on d5 twice and have a discovered attack. I mean, I really have to say that yeah, knight d4 to bail out, yeah, but it's not nice. It's not nice at all. This for black. This is not at all what Gukesh will have been hoping for. So far, Ding's doing a good job, right? He's really doing a good job here. I mean, I know queen c2 is not the best move according to Leela, but queen c2 is completely normal and it's keeping the tension. I mean, the thing that surprises me a little bit is that until now in these types of positions, Ding has been playing for d4 quickly and just releasing the tension. And whereas here he's just keeping it. He's just saying, okay, you know, I'm willing to play a longer game. Just show me. Maybe he just knows these positions well. Maybe he's actually in some you know, some type of position where he's done some normal just like preparation for middle games as well on it, and he knows. And you want to sacrifice the knight on ooh. That's scary. I mean, actually, it's also quite a crucial moment for Gukesh, I think, because, for example, if you go rook e8, you might get hit by knight b5 quite soon, and then you're never going to be able to play knight d4. So you've got to decide, really. I mean, knight d4, you don't want to play it, but you sort of got to work out, you know, this is my last chance to do it. So is this the best version I can get, or is it, you know, or do I just need to keep together? I think that Gukesh is not going to play a knight d4. I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he'll like it very much, and it just makes everything simple and clear. I think he's probably going to play. I think he's going to play for rook e8 and bishop f8. So I think he's just going to play rook e8. So maybe white goes knight b5. Maybe white goes rook d1. I mean, he could sort of assume that humanly Ding is going to play rook d1 next. That's the natural move, and then say that that this has improved white's position, which it has, black's position rather, because the rook doesn't have any sense on d1 somehow. So you could do that. Rook e8, hoping for rook d1, knight d4, and that'll be the best possible version you can get of it. But yeah, if white plays knight b5, then you don't get to play knight d4 anymore. The next move is just going to be rook d1, and so some quite crucial moments. Yeah, I mean, I really think so, and I've got about 4 or 5 Stockfish games I played against Stockfish where I can, you know, I could show me just getting into trouble all the time and really just not, you know, just being unsatisfied really. And as you know, you get something like a3, a5, and then you have the knight on b5, and you can't get rid of that knight, and it's just so irritating, you know. Yeah, no, that's right, Kendra Dog. I mean, the one good positive point about knight d4 is that it's a plan. So you're actually taking some positive action and sort of yeah, you know, you feel like you're doing something, even if it's not particularly great. The problem with playing a move like rook e8 is that you don't actually have a plan. And actually, it's something that I've been noticing a lot with the Leela odds games, is that you see that the players are are always delaying decisions against Leela odds, because you're a piece up somehow, and you're looking at the position, you're saying, yeah, but I'm a piece up, right? How bad could it be? Okay, I won't take a decision now. I'll just play another developing move. And yes, the Halloween Gambit style option. I'm not sure it's really. I don't think we should do that yet. We'll bear it in mind though. If it comes up at all during the game, I will flag it and give you all due credit. But you see players constantly delaying the decision. Then all of a sudden you look at the position, you say, "Oh my goodness, it's so bad. I've lost all my options that I used to have," despite still being a piece up. And yeah, you've got to be careful here. Rook e8 has that sort of feel. White goes knight b5, and you've lost one of your big options. You weren't sure about it, but yeah, somehow not having it somehow feels worse somehow. Yeah, so it's a bit tricky here. But I think, you know, the big problem is that if you do something like this, I mean, I'd almost want to really try and sack that pawn, but I don't know whether I don't imagine it's possible at all. Doesn't look like compensation. The white knights get a lot of play there. I mean, the most ambitious would be to play bishop c5. That actually has to be looked at as well, because you're threatening c6. I mean, you can play moves like b4, but yeah, swapping off this pawn for the queen side, that would be a huge win for black. So I mean, actually, maybe that's the critical line, right? That takes knight b5, and then not c5, but bishop c5. I mean, I think c5 doubling up on the e file, for example. I mean, even this looks really like you could, you know, it looks like one of those. Well, it looks like a Leela odds game, basically, right? You know, where Leela started with some odds, rook odds, and then got a piece back somehow. You know, it looks very, very dangerous, very annoying for black as well. But I think bishop c5 would really be the big move to look at there. Yeah, and then we've got to find a solution. We've got to find something for white against the threat of c6. Actually, that's not so. That's actually quite challenging somehow. That could be. This is concrete. This is something that you might want to. It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, it's always the skill, really, balancing knowing more and trusting yourself, and putting the pressure on the opponent with the clock. It's a very difficult balance. Yeah, actually, I'm not seeing it straight away. I mean, I was thinking something like rook e5, for example. With the idea of if b6, then I wanted to play b4. The idea being that after here I can play knight takes d4, and I can sort of get this huge bind. I mean, I would guess that this is really quite pleasant for white. These guys so good and entrenched, and then you play d4, and the rooks are just paralyzed by all this. The queen too, actually. So that was what I was thinking of. And you can't go queen e7 because of knight d4. That's clear. But what I'm wondering about is the move knight d7 somehow. I mean, I could sort of play this, but I'm just thinking the queen's coming to f6, which is irritating me. Maybe what I can simply do after knight d7, is, well, I could play the rook back to, I've got several ideas, actually. I could play the rook back to e2 because, yeah, you're threatening knight d4 now because the pawn's not protected. And if you went back there, then I could play this move b4 and knight takes. It's not as good as when black's played b6, but at least the bishop's not attacking the rook on e2 somehow. The other idea that I could do this in various guises. I could play the move rook e4, and after knight f6 go rook h4, for example, and I'm just hitting that pawn sideways. Not stupid. Black can play g5, and then I've got to decide how I want to do this. I mean, probably rook h6, king g7, and queen d2 is the best one. King h6, I go check, and then I take this one, and then this one's hanging as well. That would be rather strong. So rook e4 might be quite tricky, because you might just be losing this pawn. He's gone rook e8, black. He didn't dare play knight d4. So Rook takes c5. Yeah, it's possible, but I think black's fine after rook c5. It's just a pawn for the exchange, and you don't have the two bishops or anything. You have two knights really, which is so I think a big moment here maybe. Maybe I think knight after, if white plays knight b5 in this position, then I think black's still under some pressure. I think rook d1, knight d4 will ease the pressure on black somehow. But I don't think Ding will do that. I think he'll play knight b5. Rook d1, knight d4 just looks so, you just feel like, yeah, this is not really going to work. Yeah, and I mean, the question always is again whether you can play bishop c5. Oh, he's gone knight b5. Ding's playing fast. God, Gukesh is catching up with him on time, and Ding is not messing up his position. Wow. Ding, ding, ding. Ding's playing so well so far. Yeah, this is a little challenging now for Ding. He's got to work it out. Actually, look at those win-draw percentages. This is a big decision now. I mean, basically what Leela's saying is, you have to go bishop f5. You have to slow down the d4 move. And you know, if we slow you down, then you're still surviving. But if you don't slow down, then d4 is happening, and Leela really likes this. Wow, queen d6, letting the pawns be doubled here. Yeah, Ding's playing super. I mean, he really is. So yeah, Leela doesn't want to take it. It's unclear always with those. You lose a lot of your somehow as a threat. It's maybe nicer. It's a very nice position for white, this, I have to say. Ooh, going c5 there. b5 takes, knight d4. Yeah, I mean, oh, we're just winning a pawn here. This is a very nice position for white. I mean, it wouldn't amaze me, to be honest, if Ding didn't go rook d1 after bishop f8. Just keep the threat and ask black what he's going to do. But d4 does look like it's quite strong as well. Not super obvious moves, I have to say. You know, you're taking back with the b knight, which is ahead. I'd be looking. I'd always be desperately trying to make taking with the f knight work, and then taking with a bishop. Not always intuitive. Taking with a knight is maybe a bit more intuitive, but so not 100% easy moves from Leela there. I have to say one thing that occurs to you is that after knight b5, bishop f8. You do have to look out for stuff like this somehow, yeah? Attacking this one. Because it's a little bit awkward because rook c8, I've got bishop b7. So even these things are... Bishop f5 hits the pawn, pins it to the queen, and slows down d4. That's the point. So you basically, what Leela's saying is you have to go rook d1, and then you have to unpin, and you can play d4, and you've slowed white down a little bit. That's the only value to bishop f5. It doesn't have any particular intrinsic value. It's just slowing white down. This is nasty for Gukesh. This is really nasty. Really, really nasty. So impressed with Ding, I have to say, after that terrible, blunder yesterday. I really thought, he must be totally out of energy, right? He must just be really, really cooked somehow, and just so hard to make decisions or whatever. But he's made a number of very calm, restrained decisions here. By his standards, reasonably fast in actual fact, and he's played, these last few moves, h3, king h2, queen c2, knight b5. He's played them fast, right? And Gukesh catching up with him on time. Yeah, no, brilliant, really brilliant. So yeah, I mean, bishop f5. Basically, Leela feels you have to stop d4. Bishop f5 is the only move. I mean, I guess we're going to see how sharp Gukesh is feeling at the moment, because I think bishop f5 is really a move that you see when you know, you played the bishop to e6, and now you're playing bishop f5, and you're also getting closer to getting hit with g4. You know, there's all sorts of reasons why it might just not quite occur to you. Yeah, but a5, you know, it's one of those things, right? If you allow b4 for white for free, you know, that's just a lovely gain for white. So you play a5. Yeah, swings and roundabouts on that one. But it's what I was saying at the start during the opening phase and everything. I just don't like these positions. I don't like this choice of knight c6 for black. I just think it's not a good choice. Or at any rate, my feeling about playing these positions in lots of practice games against Stockfish was, I mean, I didn't even enjoy it, right? That was the point. You know, I had much better results playing c5. Well, not results, but much better games playing c5 somehow. So I do think that Gukesh has just chosen a setup that's good from Gukesh. He's sharp as well. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Mr. Beats. I mean, Ding has had lots of opportunities here to release the tension and you know, just make the draw like he's been doing all the time, and but he hasn't done it. He's really just, this is a perfect, so far, textbook example in the keeping the pressure on with a slightly quieter opening. It's really good. So yeah, really great. Hey Nata, good to see you. Yeah, very exciting game. We're heading for something quite interesting here. The one downside to bishop f5 is that Ding can play another quick move, and Gukesh has got to work it out again. I mean, I think bishop f5 is a move you play by elimination, because you look at bishop f8, you say, okay, I've got to hold back d4, but you know, rook d1 happened, but you're not 100% clear on where you want to go somehow. And queen d7 is a little bit nerve-wracking, right? Because you're putting your rook opposite the queen now. So I would have thought, to be honest, that Gukesh would be thinking more about playing bishop f8 here. There we are, bishop f8. That's the move that Leela wants. Queen c3 and queen c8. But it's crucial, right? I mean, that's a lovely thing about 0.9 for Komodo. Well. That's a lovely thing about Leela. I think you're getting a sense of the moves and the differences that it makes, right? You're really seeing a big difference. There's basically queen c8 and bishop f8. They probably transpose to each other, right? Okay, maybe there's a difference. We'll have a look. But queen c8 or bishop f8, that's keeping things within boundaries. Everything else is just really starting to push it very much towards white side. So I think what that is telling us is that the path is getting narrower for Gukesh. You know, he's still in there. Ooh, knight d7. Leela will not like that one. I don't know why, by the way. Yeah, I mean, I'm just reacting to the eval bar. I haven't, but I have to say, knight d7 is not a very natural move, I have to say. Yeah, Castles is he could have, but I think he felt that Ding probably had some irritating Catalan. If you do that, then you've missed out on a lot of the possible Catalan defenses that you might have. So that's why. So yeah, so I'm definitely reacting to the eval bar, but that's quite amazing. But isn't that a gorgeous? I just wanted to just say, isn't that a gorgeous thing about this eval bar, that you could really see very clearly there that the path that Gukesh is following, according to the engines, has got really narrow. You've got one line that keeps things to a tiny advantage, one that's slipping a little bit, and the rest are just really getting serious there, including the second most natural move according to Leela. So I think that's gorgeous. Well done, Leela, guys. Well done. It can, that's right. I mean, sometimes it's like in a game, right? You lose a pawn and suddenly you start playing better. You know, it's but yeah, I just thought that Ding, you know, looked a bit cooked yesterday, you know, and that he was just out of energy. But yeah, seems to yeah, Leela really looking to sacrifice, yeah. Now Ding is going to need quite a bit of time here because it's not so obvious this. So this is a very ambitious line from Gukesh, I have to say. Very ambitious indeed. So he's really fighting back. It's probably one of those things, right? I think probably Gukesh thinks that he's certainly not worse here, and he's fighting. He's going to start hitting white with knight c5, and but I would have to say that if I was looking at a natural move, because the point of knight d7 hadn't occurred to me at all. I wouldn't have really noticed it if it hadn't been in Leela's PV even actually, but or Leela's lines rather. But so the idea is to play knight c5 here, and you're going to be clamping down on d3. So I mean, ideally you want to meet knight c5 with d4, right? So the most natural move to me would be to try and play queen e2. That would be the most natural move. The first one I'd think of, right? So that after knight c5, I can play d4, and I've got my rook opposite the queen. So if e takes d4, knight d4, and this is probably just winning, right? I mean, this is just killing for. Now, what you might expect in return, you might expect something like bishop f8, putting the rook opposite the queen this way. So it's not a, it's although we're eval jumping, it's not a silly idea at all from Gukesh. It's got some serious point to it. This is quite this is clever. But yeah, whether having the rook opposite here really matters. I mean, I can still go something like d4, and this bishop's really exposed, right? I mean, knight c5, rook d4 is quite interesting. Obviously, bishop c5. I've got rook. No, I haven't got rook d7. What am I talking about? Maybe rook c5. But okay, I can take with a knight on d4 and then get the queen out somewhere. I mean, this is a definite edge, right? So you want the eval bar? Yeah, but it's a stockfish eval bar. I'm not. I don't like the eval bar when I'm. The thing is, it makes it. Yeah. I'm not a fan of having the eval bar whilst I'm analysing because it just goes wildly somehow all the time. I guess you could go knight d3. I think I spotted somebody in the chat saying that. Knight d3 here. Because takes, queen d3, there's e4. I mean, this would be very nice compensation for the exchange, I think, yeah? Even. Oh, no, that's not e4. I've got queen e4. Ha 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 ha. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know, actually. Queen e2 looks like a very natural move to me. And I'm sort of wondering what black's going to do then. Maybe bishop c5 is the idea. Bishop c5 maybe is the idea. Got to start calculating some stuff now, yeah? d4 here. Takes, and... Well, no, c7 is hanging, but probably it's not. Watch out then, this position. I'm getting in b4 afterwards. I probably all right. But so is there anything better after bishop c5? This looks like a vaguely reasonable idea. I'm also thinking about b4, and then it's unclear whether some of these tactics are working for white. I'm not getting the feeling of that. Maybe bishop e3, bishop c5 would be black's idea. It's not clear. I mean, there's ideas like knight h4 now, that and then doing something with our bishop somehow. Not clear. Maybe I can just retreat, and it's not clear what white position feels like it's got more possibilities. What is? Let's have a look what Leela is saying. Ooh, Leela wants queen d2. Oh yeah, queen e2. He said just saying bishop f8. Leela, by the way, against queen e2. Just oh, looking. Oh God, looking for this position. Wow, interesting. That hadn't occurred to me, but it's a sort of a mix of several things we were looking at. But the nice thing about taking with a bishop and then taking with a knight is that you're attacking all of these pawns. Oh God, that's actually quite. If you spot that as white, you're probably quite. Yeah, queen c3, also interesting as well. It just, to be honest, I spotted that that Leela was saying bishop f6 in this position, so just putting the queen bishop opposite the queen. But actually, one interesting idea seems to me is that after queen c3, bishop f6, then you just go queen c1. And the point is, you stop the knight coming to c5 now. This also looks very interesting, I have to say. I would think myself quite subtle if this came up. You're threatening d4 still, eh? This also looks quite sensible to me. Queen c3, bishop f6 from Leela, and then queen c1. That would be quite a good human. That would be a human subtlety to do that. And then what we've got with Leela is the move queen d2, which obviously we like very much. And then the idea is really that the queen's not going to get opposite the rook somehow. But Leela's got a bit of a crazy line there, yeah? So queen d2, knight c5, d4, knight d3, d5. Oh, that could be quite powerful. Takes queen, takes knight d4. And then Leela's just basically... Oh, 2 pawns. Wow. 2 pawns for the exchange and a pretty nice setup somehow. Yeah, that's not winning somehow. That blacks can get rid of 2 bishops, which is key, and then you don't have any clear passed pawns somehow. I'd put it more to slight to clear advantage than and more slight than clear, really. It's a lovely idea, this. I don't think that Ding will do this somehow, but it's a lovely idea. Yeah, the nice thing about it, the only reason you might think of that as a human player is the reason that the knight on c6 is actually trapped here. So the number of lines that you need to calculate here are really small, and then you're taking the a5 pawn, but then you've just got to try and work out for yourself, what do I think about this? Am I going to win this, or am I only going to draw this? I think if you spot bishop g5, then you're maybe wondering slightly, because the other bishop's coming into e4, and you're maybe just going to have a knight against and 2 pawns against the rooks, which is always, a knight's always less interesting somehow than having a bishop when you've got passed pawns to push. But yeah, I mean, if you saw this line, you'd be doing quite well as well. It probably would be some sort of advantage. Yeah, I think so. Being able to move the pieces for certain types of positions. Sometimes you just find end positions hard to visualize, and if you actually see it on the board, then you can assess it much better. So yeah, that would definitely help. But this is going to be, I mean, Ding's going to spend probably another 10 minutes at least on this. It's a big decision, actually. It's a big decision. Actually, I'm seeing another move of Leela's that and that's an interesting one as well. Just c5. That's really crossing black's plans. It's actually a very nice move, c5. So you just stop the knight coming to c5, and you're giving black, yeah, you're asking black what he's going to do there. That is a very nice move. c5. So, I mean, Leela's saying bishop f6, queen c1, and then we're going d4 after, which which does look quite good, I have to say. I'm wondering about other moves. I mean, I'd maybe, if I was black, I'd be sort of thinking about trying to play knight f8 to e6, because the knight doesn't have much future on d7 anymore. I mean, you maybe think two things actually. You do tend to act a bit on internal logic. That's especially, I think, the stronger you get somehow, the more you tend to do that. There's something like, you know, you sort of have a story for the game somehow. So if white plays a move like c5, which stops you getting here, then you sort of look at a move like knight f6 very quickly, which exploits the square that white conceded when trying to stop your plan. You know, it just feels logical and natural. Or I could, you know, logically, naturally say, oh, yeah, okay, he stopped my plan, but my knight has got an even better path there. So that's quite, and that sometimes works. It's sometimes very good, but sometimes you're just making too much of a story, and the logic just isn't there in the position. It's just how the position is, and the nice thing about c5 is that it starts giving you ideas of playing b4 as well, because you're cutting out the bishop's attack on there. c5 is quite interesting. The only thing is it feels a little bit, you do feel it's a little bit of a loosening, risky move, because obviously the knight on b5 now is no longer protected. So yeah, you've lost some of your no, d4 allowed, the queen c2 is hanging, so you've got to watch out for that. You need to move the queen first, either to c3 or to c4 maybe, or to a4. Not quite sure which. It's a bit of a funny move, c5. I could imagine you'd be not sure with white somehow, but I do think that queen e2 feels like a very natural move there, to be honest. Queen c3 also. If you spot this bishop f6, queen c1, again, you're making that narrative about I've stopped the knight on coming to c5. And then the question is, you know, what can black do here in this type of position? Do we have that? Actually, Leela's not saying queen c1. Leela's saying knight d2. That's also interesting, actually. Knight d2 is also very interesting. I mean, you're stopping knight d4 somehow, most likely. So that's good. Actually, this is quite nice and logical as well from that point of view. Contamination from Crane, I don't see it as a problem, really. I don't see it as a problem. It's just it's adding to my chess, I think. But knight d2 is very nice. So, you know, black's intention, so just look at it from the human logic point of view, black's intention was to knight c5, play knight c5, which you stopped by playing queen c3, although I've got to check that you are actually stopping it, but we're claiming we stopped it. And after bishop f6, you play knight d2, so black can no longer play knight c5. You've still got this possibility of b4 now because the bishop's out of play, and you're going to bring the knight into e4, hitting that bishop on f6. And when the knight comes to e4, you're stopping knight c5. So that feels like a move that's absolutely chock-a-block full of logic there. So quite interesting. Quite interesting. Could be an interesting move there. Sorry. Yeah. Could be an interesting move there. I think that Ding's actually got a bit of a difficult choice, but in terms of a good choice, right? I mean, again, this is very clear from Leela somehow. You can see you've got 4 good moves here, 4 really good moves. And even queen c1, which would be the only other natural move you might look at. Even queen c1 is not so bad. It's just that the problem is, I don't think that Ding will do that. The problem is that if d4, then knight b3 is trapping the queen. Oh, no, it's not trapping the queen. No, d4, I guess knight d3 is less good. Yeah, I guess d4, knight d3 is just less good, really, because it's hitting the queen on c1, whereas on d2 it isn't. Queen d2, ding, ding, ding. Wow. Wow, what a move. God, Ding's playing so strongly. He's ready to sack the exchange. He's ready to sack the exchange, Ding. This is amazing. This is really advanced play. It really is. Really is advanced play, this. But yeah, you know, I mean, there was that moment in the match against Jan where Ding played this beautiful game, sacrificing the exchange and everything, you know, and now we played d3 to d4 after bishop f6. Just show you that one. We play e4, and then we're claiming that this pawn is weak. It's sharp, I'll grant you. But I think that's the idea. Or is it even the idea, actually? I was assuming that was the idea, but is there something else? No, I think it's going to be d4. Well, actually, yeah, I'm looking at it. Knight c5 might be quite interesting. Maybe I get moves like bishop f4 hitting c7. Not sure, not sure. A good point, Jonathan. I'm not 100% sure about it, but let's have a look at queen d2 now, because I think Leela will show once again that we're following a very narrow path here, right? It's knight c5 or bust, basically. Well, bust is a bit strong, but you know what I mean. I mean, the key point is that White's going to play d4 next. That's the big idea. So, yeah, I mean, a4 is a vaguely logical move, right? You're stopping White from playing b4, taking control of b3, and you go d4. And then, yeah, I mean, this is very worrying, right? I mean, your pieces are not particularly good for dealing with this sort of thing. But yeah, d4, e4 would be the most natural. And then the knight goes somewhere, maybe g1, I think. But this is a bit of a, yeah, this is an interesting one somehow, yeah. But Black's really got a few worries here, because this pawn, these two pawns here are quite nice for stopping the black pieces from getting active at all. And we've got a move like bishop f4 hitting c7, which is a real pain. So, for example, knight b6, I think I'll probably play queen c3 here. And then I'm just, you know, I'm looking to play a move like bishop f4 next, hitting c7, and I'll go knight e2. It's, yeah, it's just very easy for black here to go completely wrong and really just, I mean, maybe actually rather than queen c3, maybe a move like queen c2 would be nicer. That might be more subtle. I'm not sure. Queen c3 stops knight a5, which is why I played it. But queen c2, I'm actually, you know, even looking at bishop e4. And if you go bishop f6, I'm not in the pin. That's the basic idea. I mean, I could play a move like bishop f4, hitting c7 there, for example. Because if knight d4, I go takes, and bishop c7, which I'm guessing is going to be winning for me somehow. Interesting. Wow. So what is Leela, for example, after a4, e4, d4, knight b6, queen c2? Oh, that's what Leela wants. Knight a5. Oh, Leela just wants c5. Oh, and then just picks up the pawn like that. Yeah, why not? Let's just win a pawn. Not try and do anything too clever. So let's have a look. Leela's line, knight c5. Actually, let's just have a look. Sese, what does Sese want? Sese, sese.analysis.net, yeah. Where is it? Sese.analysis.net. Oh, good lord. Or is it analysis? It's analysis.sese.net, isn't it? Sorry, I'm going bananas. .32 only. Okay, so Stockfish is still, but a lot of possible lines that aren't that great. But yeah, this is a sort of line that Stockfish is always holding with black. This sort of thing, right? So you see this a lot in engine games. So, but I don't know how easy that is. I would have thought humanly, that's not the positions. If you're going to end up with knights against 2 rooks, that's not easy to win humanly, I would suggest. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Gukesh has to be very brave now, very brave indeed. So, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I set it to 720 because people were complaining before about quality of the stream, so I've just put it down a little bit. That's why. Sorry about that. 1080 is what I normally have, but just this time I put it down. I will try and put it up another time, but I've cut the stream 3 times already to adjust things. So I don't particularly want to do it anymore. I do apologize. Yeah, so let's have a look at the possible lines that we could have. Let's try and be humans here. So after knight c5, I guess that Ding is only looking at d4. I don't think he'll have anything else. Obviously, I like the move bishop 8. Oh, there's nothing else, is there? Not really, I don't think. No, I think so. d4. I think Ding must be going for this one, d5. So knight takes e1, and then queen takes e1. I think this is all. It's a very linear. It's very linear. This, and then here maybe you get a few different ideas. But on the other hand, I don't really think so. Actually, I think this is really. Now, this is really very clear. Maybe here. This is where you start thinking. You start wondering for white whether you've got something more promising than just taking the pawn on a5. I mean, the one thing is that if I saw this position and I didn't think that black had bishop g5, I would think I was completely winning here for white. You know, because I mean, really, you're going very quickly. You're really hammering into these pieces. If black plays b6, you get the knight on c6. So I think it's really bishop g5 that makes a huge difference, you know, for is black going to survive or not. So, yeah, would be interesting to know whether, I mean, would you just be able to play a move like h4, for example, and just stop bishop g5 and then just claim, okay, you know, because b6 you can't play because of knight c6. I guess a4. If only I could get a move in like c5, right? I mean, then again, I'm really believing in my position very much there. I mean, maybe I can just play like this, yeah. Here in queen c3, and then just play c5. The problem is you've got something like this, and then bishop e4 from black. There's just too many ways to be, you know, for it to be a decisive advantage. There's too many ways for black to swap off the bishops. That's the big problem. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, trying to think how would I feel about calculating this as a human player. I'm not sure somehow. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'd feel about that. Would I be able to calculate this line? I guess I probably would. It's quite linear, but whether I'd be able to assess it properly at the end, yeah, the fish. This is the fish line somehow. Yeah, I think. I mean, the position is definitely getting riskier, and we're talking about narrow paths for Gukesh now. You know that if he doesn't sort of really go for it, then yeah. Trying to think what other natural move could be. Bishop c5 might be a possible move, human move. That's the other move that I might be thinking of here. It's right down in Leela's estimation there, because bishop c5, we're going d4, and bishop d4. Knight d6. Oh, and queen a5 simply. We're simply picking up that loose a pawn, including a3 and a5 was so key. Yeah, that's yeah, interesting moment actually, because I don't. Do you remember game 1 where Gukesh, you know, in the press conference he said that he saw this resource queen takes h7, saw it didn't work, and then didn't play the best. It was a second move of a sequence, saw the second move didn't work, and then abandoned the first move somehow. So Yeah, I mean, you could see knight c5, see this d4 to d5 and say, oh, that's not very good, and then just go for something else. But bishop c5, Leela just thinks you're just going to pick up a pawn somehow with zero problem, which is a little bit worrying somehow. Yeah, thinking about other reasonable moves. I mean, you could just decide that what you want to do is you're going to meet d4 with e4. So then you could play your bishop back, let's say g6. Gukesh might put it to h7. I noticed that earlier on. There was a moment where putting the bishop on g6 was so natural, but he put it on h7. So let's assume bishop h7. Let's see whether we can understand Gukesh somehow. So, I mean, white plays d4, and now you're going to play e4. And then you're just going to try and do something. I mean, this looks rubbish, really. It's always the thing that you don't want to do this, really. You know, just weakening yourself like that. So hard for black to really foothold on this set of squares, really. You know, I mean, you don't really want to go f5 and g5. That's really asking for it. But if you went something like f5, I guess I mean, I can always throw in bishop f4, attacking this one. I mean, d5 to d6, even these things get dangerous somehow. But I guess I'd probably, you know, I'd probably go knight e2. I guess I'm just looking for knight f4 and attacking e6 and even knight d5 after. Just so gorgeous. You know, at some stage the position just starts playing itself. You have the feeling. So, oh, sorry. Let's have a look. So you're saying that knight d3, knight takes e5 in this position. Really? Is that Sese then? Doesn't seem to be Sese. But would it be possible? It's an interesting idea. It's not crazy. It's not crazy at all, actually. I mean, just looking at the normal plane moves somehow. Yeah, this looks quite interesting. I mean, you're threatening to take on c6, and if you do something like this, then I'd take on a5 somehow. g6 for aesthetics. Yeah, yeah. And knight takes c5 is interesting. I mean, maybe black should be trying to keep his octopus on d3 somehow, and I mean, yeah. Or would you maybe try and swap everything off? But no, this is just good for white. No, this is rubbish. Interesting. That's a very interesting idea. Taking on just playing knight takes e5. Actually, quite sure what you do here with. I mean, you can even because you've even got ideas like this, you know, and then taking on b8, and there is some compensation. The light squares are a bit loose, but still, this could look quite promising somehow. Ooh, that's nasty. As knight takes e5, almost equivalent. Let's click in and have a look then. And then knight takes c5. Let's do that one. There. Don't know whether it's me. So what Cesar is saying is takes, and then this move queen c8. So yeah, that's a clever move. I will say though, it is not an easy move to. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, right? Well, I mean, I think you sort of guessed that this is going to be compensation, right? Oh well, actually, although Queen e8, King h3, so takes, bishop c. Interesting. What would you claim? Would you claim bishop d7 is the compensation here for black? Takes, you're going to have c6. Probably. Not clear, though. I mean, you've also got the move knight a7 to consider there as well. If queen d7, you could go bishop c6 here. So, and there's a lot to consider. Knight takes c5. That, if you spot that as black, then it's a bit, yeah. Yeah, I think Gukesh, yeah, knight c5. I think Gukesh is getting worried. I mean, it might be that knight c5 just loses, right? That's the big danger. I mean, to be honest, if you showed me this position, and with white being able to play queen takes a5, or even this position, and asked me for a snap intuitive judgment, and this line is probably, it's not too difficult to calculate, right? Because you can, it's quite linear, you know. I mean, there's not really many options for black. I would say that white's completely winning here, most likely, clear to winning advantage. It's only the move bishop g5, which isn't 100% obvious, which also then allows bishop e4 to swap off the bishops, that keeps black, you know, within ballpark small disadvantage. So yeah, from that point of view, you know, I could understand that you could be looking at this position and just thinking, yeah, this is terrible. I need something different to this. I can't play knight c5. If you're unlucky enough as well to spot knight takes c5 in this position, which is also quite dangerous, then yeah, knight c takes c5 is possible. But I think we just take there, and yeah, I mean, you can sort of, if you're not doing something, I'm doing all sorts of moves somehow. So I think that yeah, I don't know. I'm not so sure about black for this. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a mental thing now. Yeah, it's quite a mental thing, this now, because Ding is basically trying to say to Gukesh, this was your plan, go ahead, play it. I've got something against it. And Gukesh has got to decide whether, you know, is this fine? Can I play my plan anyway, or do I have a serious problem? And as always, it's never quite obvious. There's other lines. Oh, what was that, Max? There is another line as well that you might get tempted into calculating, which is d4 knight b3 here. So queen c3, and then maybe, got to do it right, knight takes d4. But I would imagine here that this undermining move knight e5 is just killing. I was trying to just exchange everything off and hide away, but something like this is going to be just killing. I mean, look at this. Oh, look at this development. If Ding wins this, then I'm sure that Kramnik will say something about older players knowing about centralization. So but yeah, time 40 minutes now. So Gukesh basically crunches through everything. Yeah. He's supposed to be a very good calculator, but I don't know. I mean, I wonder whether he believes that he's a better calculator than you can't fight those arrows. No. I wonder whether he thinks he's a better calculator than Ding. My sneaking suspicion on that one, I think that the Gukesh thinks that Ding is a slightly better calculator than him. I think, and I think that it probably is true. I think that the Ding is a slightly better calculator than Gukesh. Just think he's one of the best in the world at doing that. Just finds these active moves effortlessly somehow, Ding. You know, it's well, we have a game on our hands here, don't we? I'm just going to get another coffee, and then give me a minute or so in Leela's hands, and then we'll hopefully come back to the next move. I might grab a biscuit as well. Yeah, I'm good. Right. Oh, Gukesh still thinking. Wow. Yeah, I mean, yesterday was a bad game, but I mean, let's be honest, in most world championships, there's always a bad game. It's party time in chat. Ah, Mr. Beads. Biscuit is, yeah, a cookie, basically, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know Kramnik's been very critical somehow, but too much, I think. It's I mean, I can point to every single world championship where there's been a game that's really been very, very poor. Um, but yeah, I mean, both players there really looked a little bit cooked somehow. So I mean, this fight is really amazing, right? I mean, somehow Ding seems to have gathered himself together. Gukesh is not playing badly either, but he's just under pressure, as you are when a good player decides to go for you with what. So it's a really crucial decision, this, because I mean, looking at Leela's moves, I mean, basically, I mean, the basic problem that Black's facing here is that White is going to play d4, and either E takes d4 or e4. Leela is hating. E takes d4 because the white pieces are so beautifully centralized. This pawn is loose, and d4, e4. Because yeah, this pawn barrier just is so nice, and White's got this b5 square for the knight is great, attacking f4, and you can just play with your knight around all the squares. Um, it's not too difficult for White to do it. I mean, Black should, I think if you were going to do something like this, then then Black should probably be trying to play to give up the pawn, try and get the knight onto a5, and then give away the pawn, like Leela says. Okay, you're a pawn down, and yeah, you're still quite restricted somehow, and these knights are coming to fight for this d5 square. So you're not going to have it all your own way, but yeah, I mean, probably you need to do something like this to gain a foothold. If you don't do it, then you're a little bit afraid that the knights will come in, and I mean, or you need to do something quite desperate like this, but yeah, again, this is really asking for it, right? I mean, this knight comes into d5, or we get a d5. No, knight comes into d5. You go f4 at some stage, and Black doesn't really know what to do. If you take on f3, I just take back, and yeah, it's just it's one of those positions. I think if you don't force the crisis now, it becomes one of those positions where something like 14 moves or something. Yeah, 14 moves, I think, Sorenzo. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I was actually thinking of that game when it happened somehow, when I was talking about bad games. English refugee, that is very true, yeah. That is very true, yeah. I mean, everyone, mate, just there's such a high level of skill, but everyone, ooh, bishop g6. Ooh, right. Well, this is 0.91 according to Sessi. We are getting into serious advantage territory. Although Gukesh played bishop g6, which I said he wouldn't do. So yeah, d4 now. d4 is the move. Feels right. I don't think. Yeah. Oh, ding! Look at that. Played it immediately. Well, that is the problem, of course. The problem with Gukesh's moves as well is that somehow he's ended up in a situation where his moves have a lot of doubt attached to them, and Ding's really are not so difficult to play somehow. And what's amazing is that Ding is actually playing them quite fast. So I think it's true. Yeah, I mean, I think that that Gukesh saw this line, right. One of these two lines with the exchange sacrifice, and thought he was lost. 1.5 Komodo. Gukesh has got to play fast now. He's got to play his next move quickly. He can't have played bishop g6 with no idea. That's really... Black has many options, but many bad ones, looks like. No, I mean, you basically got e4 or e takes d4 now. I mean, those are the basic two moves. Oh, yes! There's that one. It's in the position now. I told you, didn't I? Takes bishop f4 is a nasty one. And Leela's giving it 80, like... Leela's giving it, like, huge. Why does Leela... Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is rather nasty. So I guess we're just taking on d4 right then. Oh, God, look at that. That's a total catastrophe. Yeah, yeah. I think that's what we're seeing here, right? Wow. I'm almost wondering, seeing Gukesh thinking about after d4, I'm almost wondering whether he was intending he takes d4. I really am. I think he was intending he take. I think he's just spotted bishop f4. Oh, I think you spot bishop f4. If you don't spot bishop f4, then maybe maybe you think, oh well, I'll just have to do this and try and survive. But bishop f4 is horrific. Oh, that's horrific. That's a horrible move. I think Gukesh has just spotted it. Because if it was your idea to play e4, then you would play it immediately. I mean, there's just no point, right? You've got nothing else to do. But I think he just spotted e takes d4 bishop f4 now. That's my feeling. That's my feeling. Oh, it's a shame. I mentioned it as an idea before, but I didn't spot it in this specific thing. It's easy to miss, right? So easy to miss. It's just you've got 1, 2, 3 ways of recapturing with the queen and rook on the file, and you just don't take it. I mean, it's crazy, right? But yeah, just crazy strong as well. You just put the black pieces in a much worse position here. I mean, everything's collapsing here. This one's hanging. This one's on prise. You've got to watch out for this one. It's a total disaster. Wow. Oh, dear me. Dear me. This is really bad, right? Because Gukesh has spent, like, how long did he spend? 26 minutes on bishop g6. And I think that what he was intending to do, he's just realized that it's a huge blunder. So he's going to have to play something like e4 we played now. Okay, but I don't think he was intending to do this. And to be honest, I would rather have had the bishop on h7 in this position to be able to play f5 and g5, at least to keep the knight out of f4. You don't even have that there. Although, okay, you've got the bishop to h5 to hit the rook, so maybe you've got that. Knight e1, instantly played by Ding. Knight b6. Okay. That wasn't. I don't think that was the best move according to Leela. But okay, it's a very reasonable move here. Ooh, we're getting really tactical here already. Wow. Do you see what Leela wants to do? Leela wants to play the move bishop f4 here again. So rook c8, but then even just play d5 somehow. Yeah, but you're never going to spot this as a human, are you? I mean, you might spot this as white, but you're not going to spot the black reply. Knight e5, knight takes c4, queen d4 takes bishop f6. So you're just giving up a piece, basically, and then going bishop h5. And you're claiming there are all sorts of clever tactics. There are, aren't there? I'll have to show those. Although... God, that's clever. My goodness me. Could you ever spot that? What's Sese saying, actually? He just wants to play calm. But so Leela's pointing out this line. So bishop f4, we hit the pawn on c7. So if you go knight c4 here, if you go knight c4 here, why wouldn't you go knight c4? Sorry, am I seeing this right? Bishop f4, knight c4. Yeah, Sese really loves white. Yeah. I'm trying to work out. I'm going bananas here. Why isn't knight c4 working? Because after the queen comes here, you go knight d6. I am confused, Leela. I don't understand what you're talking about there. Because bishop at c7, I just take. This is nothing at all. Yeah, I don't understand why Leela's recommending bishop f4 there. I'm not crazy, right? Bishop f4, yeah. Oh, those terribly embarrassing examples where the queen e2 followed by d. Oh, the knight's trapped. Oh, golly, of course, this is the point. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, what a horrible position. I mean, it's amazing, right? I mean, takes. You just follow the knight around. Knight c8, bishop c7. Ooh, this is a disaster. You know, I mean, Ding is quite capable of looking at something like. So after bishop f4, you have to go rook c8. And then I go d5, and this knight is in big trouble. So Leela says, what you can do is you can go knight e5 takes and knight c4 and fork these two. Okay, white can keep the material, well, I mean, bishop b4 would be kind of the most natural human move here, I think. No, I mean, this has been a smooth play. If this was Leela playing white, Mr. Beads would be waxing lyrical about it, with too strong in the chat and all that sort of stuff, you know. So it's beautiful play. Actually, it's a really gorgeous play, I have to say. Wow, very impressive. He might well do something calmer, Ding. It's just that he's a really good calculator, and you know, against he's already been willing to sacrifice the exchange once. So yeah, this is a little bit more messy somehow. It's not even the best move, bishop b4, apparently, but it is a little bit more messy. Just, I mean, you know, if you did something like this, and then here, you sort of think, oh, you know, yeah, I'm a lot better with black, but maybe, you know, maybe I've still got some work to do somehow. And actually, what black's got in this position, Leela wants to move bishop g5. No, really, bishop g5. Why wouldn't you just go queen d4 then? That's true, isn't it, Leela? That's what you're saying to me. Bishop f6. Sorry, bishop f6. The queen has to come back here, and then bishop h5. But I mean, this is kind of impossible humanly to this is impossible to really evaluate humanly. When you start getting around bishop h5, you just don't know it anymore. But yeah, the idea is somehow that the white queen is sort of squares. If I played the move rook a1, for example, then I think that bishop g5 traps the queen. Queen f5, g6. It's just totally bananas. It's totally bananas, this. So that's why Leela is saying that you have to go queen d2, and then takes, and yeah, white is quite a bit better, of course, but yeah, it's very messy somehow. It's funny, Sessa's going for the quiet alternative, and Leela's just there for kicks, really. Queen c3. That was Leela's second best move there. It's a very natural move, this, because the what are you actually doing? Well, first of all, you've got the idea of going d5. Black might always have bishop f6 at times, but d5 is in there. You're controlling e5, you're attacking a5. Secondly, if black plays a4, he can't play knight a5 takes c4. So that's the idea. The point is, this bishop being on g6, you don't even have bishop e6 to attack c4 anymore. So there's no, these pawns aren't likely to be moved forward, and you're just going to go knight e2 into f4. You know, that's your basic thinking here. So yeah, well, Sessa's going up a little bit again, 1.25. Yeah, no, I mean it's a very good move. It's a very good looking move somehow, you know. I think the only thing that you're going to have to watch out a little bit or make a decision about is what happens if black plays bishop h5, you know, to attack the rook. But I guess that thing's just going to go g4. The bishop goes back to g6. There's nothing to it. I don't know what black's supposed to do. I think f5 would be the move that I would play. But let's have a look. What is Leela? Oh, it's Leela's saying f5 indeed. It's the only move I can think of because I think you want to have a possibility of going bishop h5 and f5 stops g4, and you want to have a possibility to maybe attack this pawn, and you've got bishop f7. I mean, the big thing that you've got to wonder about is after d5, am I alive? Because if you don't have a tactical response here, then your knight's lost. So you've got to have bishop f6, and then the question is, are we okay here? Yeah, the big question is whether this is actually working for black. And presumably we feel that it is. I guess that is. I mean, I take on here. You take with the bishop. You don't want to go here particularly because I'd go knight takes c7 and then take this guy. So rook e8, you go bishop e8. And if something like knight c7, I guess you could have something like knight c4. Oh, not very clear really. Bishop a7, rook c8, knight e8. If takes, I go cb and queen. But maybe I could, maybe taking like this, we'd just leave your knight on e8 like that. Yeah. So I'm guessing that this tactic really works for white. That's really important. It really is super important that that works. But it looks like it does. I mean, just for a moment, I was actually wondering whether I could play a move like this, actually. Because this guy is trapped, but it's just, it gets very messy somehow. Black starts doing stuff, and I'm sure somehow you'll end up with the right number of pawns. He's gone bishop f6. Oh, I don't like that move at all. He's worried about d5, but I don't like. Hey, USA! Okay, you get onto the chat. The chat overlay is for you. Whoa, look at that. Thank you so much, USA. I mean, really, I just need to do about 25 streams a day and invite USA all the time to the stream, and then I'll be able to make a pretty AlphaZero. No, AlphaZero is much weaker than. There's no comparison between AlphaZero and the modern engines. Probably within about, I guess, within about a year of AlphaZero sort of being publicized that the engines are caught up. Leela, most likely, I think. Yeah, it's all going towards the Leela fund. Just have to hire Windfish Balladin to set up my my server at home. So big board again, yes. Bishop f6 is not a good move. Why is that? The point is you've got no potential at all in your position now with black. I mean, the point was with f5, the reason you kind of want to make that move is that you have some hope, right? You've got bishop h5, so you're stopping g4. You can attack c4, and then obviously to have the bishop on f6 behind the f pawn, that makes sense. But after bishop f6, you've got nothing more. This bishop's really, really out of the way now, and you've got nothing you can really do with black. This is the real problem. I mean, I'm guessing white's playing knight e2 now, right? That feels very natural. Knight e2. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure Leela's also considering the move b3 here. You know, that's a very calm move. Just basically the idea you're sort of saying, well, if I go knight e2, maybe black will go a4, you know, just to try and isolate the c pawn. So I'm just all the time in the world, I'm just going to play b3, and after a4, I'll go b4. That is a completely, you know, possible idea. But I would tend to think that playing the knight to e2 to f4 to hit that bishop as soon as possible would be a very nice thing to do. So let's have a look at the lines Leela's giving. Bishop h7. Oh, queen c2 now. Just sidestepping and starting to think about playing d5. Queen d7, b3, rook bc8, knight ec3 here. Oh, good lord! And then Leela wants to do some little tactics there. Yeah, I don't think this is going to happen in the game. Leela's so good at this, you know, sort of seeing that these opposite bishop positions are winning for white. But I don't think any normal human player will find this. So I don't think this is likely to happen. But I do think that the plan of playing certainly the idea of playing knight e2 and playing the moves b3, playing the move b3 is pretty likely to happen there. I'm not sure about queen c2, whether you'd really want to play this with white. Maybe now that black's played bishop f6, you'll sort of say queen c2. But I think knight e2 is going to be the move. I can't really imagine a human player playing anything else. b3 if he's really subtle. Queen c2 if he's very subtle as well. Yeah, I mean, I think knight e2, b3, knight f4, queen c2. These are going to be the next few moves for white, and they're not too difficult. They're not too difficult. So you know, I don't think. Yeah, you know, I don't think there's too much. I mean, Ding's going to spend a little time, but I think another minute or so, and then I would have thought he'd be playing knight e2 quite quickly. Well, if he's feeling really confident, then b3. B3 is just is a very. But I mean, yeah. I mean, I imagine that after b3, I mean, you know, Gukesh must be thinking of moving his knight to e7. That must be the idea, and then moving it to f5 somehow. He must be intending this, I think. The problem is that I mean, I can even just play bishop f4 here, and after rook c8, go bishop e4. I mean, we're starting to get to the point where things are starting to drop off. I mean, you're not 100% sure about things like this. There is always the chance that there's counterplay somehow, like this. And if rook e8, queen e8, you know, you've got some light squares and everything. And this knight's a bit loose. It's why I kind of like getting another piece developed and having this knight f4 idea, because you know, if you do something like, well, you could go knight e7, of course, because queen takes a5, you might have knight c4, you could claim that, and then but then yeah, knight f4 is just a very nice move to have on there, just threatening to take on g6. I suppose you've got to watch out for c6 then. Okay, queen c2, lovely lovely restrained move there. It's a very nice move, I think. It was also one of Leela's main moves somehow. Yeah. The nice point about it is that after knight e7, I was sort of after knight e7, I was thinking that white could play bishop f4. Actually, that was my idea. Although maybe I am actually getting hit by e3. Ah, that's not so good. Okay. Well, actually, but knight e7. Yeah, Leela just wants to play d5, which is maybe very nice. I mean, a move like knight f5, you could probably just take and go bishop e4 here or something. Conceivably. I mean, rook e4, I could even just take like this, maybe. Just one, maybe even queen e4. I'm just wondering about discovered attacks here, but you've got all sorts of possibilities here. But I would have thought knight e7 would be the move, right? The brave move here, or what is Leela thinking? Queen d7. Queen d7, knight e2, bishop g5 is what Leela wants. Not very obvious for a human player, to be honest, I have to say, having played bishop f6 the move before. Have we got any obvious moves? a4 is kind of, yeah, okay. Gukesh has played a4. That feels sort of right. White was sort of looking at playing b3. You've moved the queen back. The knight can go to a5. You're worried about d5, so now the knight can go to a5. That does feel like a very natural move now. Wow, ding! That was fast. Oh God, yeah, no, I can see what Ding's doing actually. So look at what Leela's suggesting here. So if you go knight a5, Ding wants to play knight c5, and then just you're going to get your knight onto c4, and then we're getting knight on f4. I mean, these knights are getting really out of play now. If you take on e3, I'll just take back with the pawn, and the a4 pawn is hanging. This is getting really nasty. Look at that win percentage. It's just going up and up and up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think he's confident. I know what you mean, Winfish Ballard, but I think he's just confident somehow. I think he's just thinking, yeah, you know, it's time to start reaping the rewards here now. B3 would have been a bit more thematic, but this is Queen C2 is also clever somehow. I mean, the key thing is, you know, Ding is really thinking about playing d5. I mean, Ding's sort of really thinking about playing d5, because if you can get in d5, d6, then this knight on b6 is really loose. For example, if I go here and go d6, you're virtually losing your knight. You know, it's so I think this is what Ding really. That's why he was keen on Queen c2, and yeah, somehow he's also spotted this idea of taking on a4. So Leela's liking it somehow. The Ding strikes back. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I absolutely pray and hope that Ding finishes this off in nice style, because it's going to be an absolutely glorious game. Glorious game this is if he makes it. I mean, the positional play has been absolutely beautiful. To be honest, it does feel like a TCC virtually, doesn't it? Really, it's. Yeah, this is glorious somehow. Really nice play. And it's not just like there's one way of winning, right? There's, I mean, it's quite. Oh, Gukesh, he is in real trouble here. I don't think he's, to be honest. I mean, the time distribution, the moves that are being played. I mean, he's just in just, you know, bare survival mode here, Gukesh. I think at the moment. Obviously, it's, you know, the thing about playing top players. Yeah, black's worse everywhere indeed. It's chat versus SF depth 1 bonus. It's the thing about the top players is that yeah, they can just be looked totally out, you know, really no hope at all. Then you give them one shot and then they're back into things. So that's the real, you know, that's always the real difficulty somehow. It's looking really convincing from Ding now. You know, it looks like Gukesh is just, you know, randomly putting pieces in various places and hasn't got a clue. But give him a little chance and he'll be back to fighting and acting like, yeah, nothing happened. I was always in control, you know, that sort of thing. Both players look nervous. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, no, but well, I'm sure if there'd been a draw yesterday, this would have been an uneventful draw. I'm pretty sure. But somehow Ding seems to be the sort of guy that losing is his, you know, it's like a Popeye. It's like a spinach for Popeye or, yeah, whatever happened with the Hulk. It's, you know, it just turns him into a monster simply. So, but I mean, you know, he's played some big decisions, you know, really nice and fast there. You know, it's obviously 18 moves, 23 minutes for 18 moves. It's not a lot, but Gukesh has less. So, you know, motivational losses indeed. Yeah, yeah. I mean, most players just suffer, but it's typical. It's typical. Yeah, it's true. 25%. It's typical Ding somehow. Eh? He's so. Oh, Bishop G5. Right. Okay. I think Knight F4 is pretty obvious, right? This is really going. This has got a real danger of just going totally downhill. This. I mean, Knight F4 is looking disgusting. Knight F4 is looking so disgusting. Whoa. I mean, Knight F4 is just looking really strong, right? Because I mean, you're just threatening Knight takes G6 here, and in any case, I mean, you'll never even care about White Black taking on E3, right? You take back with the pawn, and your D pawn's nicely protected. But Knight F4 looks so strong. I mean, I guess that that this is what Gukesh is thinking. He's thinking, I can go E3 then. That must be what he's thinking. Only that doesn't look at all correct, right? I mean, we can go. Where can we go? Well, I mean, if I just even go Queen E2 simply, I'm not sure it's the best, but I just take, and then Rook E1, Knight C4. I've got Bishop C7. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? I mean, it's not remotely complicated. I don't think there's anything that Black can do here. He's just got no firepower at all. I mean, I could even risk it. I could even go something like Queen C3 and then just taken here, which might be even stronger because you're bound to pick up this pawn later. But okay, you know, I mean, even just Queen E2 in this position is so winning. Take. It's so winning, just so winning this. I think really at the moment Gukesh is a bit blown somehow. Yeah, I mean the moves are feeling a bit random somehow. The moves that he's playing, they're really feeling like he hasn't managed to get any sort of plan, and he's just playing from move to move here. You know. Yeah, this non-increment stuff. I mean, I think it was mainly Magnus who just wanted to make life more difficult. He felt that the World Championships weren't difficult enough, and that players weren't getting stressed enough to make mistakes, and so you know, just hanging on draws all the time. But I do think playing without increments, when normally you play all of your main chess with increments, is quite tough somehow. Ooh, this is rough. I think Ding must be checking, rechecking, but knight f4 just looks so strong. I mean, what else can you do after knight f4? I mean, the problem is you're just actually threatening to take on here. This is, you know, and you're going to have a bishop e4 at some stage. So, I mean, if I take and I'm threatening bishop g6 as well, I mean, it's very unpleasant. So, yeah, but I mean, you know, you must say in some ways, I mean, Gukesh he's just got to make moves, right? He's lost the thread of the whole position. I mean, he doesn't really have much idea what he's really doing positively anymore. So you've just got to make moves, keep the time going, and see what happens. I think that's yeah. No, it's the only move that makes sense. Knight f4. It's the only move. You know, in a blitz game, you'd do this within 2 seconds. So, but obviously Ding is going to get nervous as well, right? So we could, you know, not so not ruling out a weird twist somehow in the whole thing. But I mean, I guess maybe one thing that you might think about is after takes e3. If queen e2, you might be able to do something like this. I'm not saying it's great, but you are pinning the bishop to the queen, so you can't go bishop c7. And if knight c7, you've got knight. Well, yeah, the tactics aren't really working, are they? Knight e8 there, in actual fact, would be rather painful. Oh, it's all really bad. It's all really, really bad. So bad, all of it. Come on, Ding. Yeah, knight f4, great. Yeah, I think, to be honest, this was more a bit of disbelief on his part, Ding. Just sort of looking at the position and saying, "You're really giving this? You really are?" You know, it's. I think that's it. I just think he can't quite believe the moves. I mean, the last 6 or 7 moves from Ding from Gukesh. I mean, this was decent, but I think that since here it's just been a total disaster. What's happened to Gukesh? He's really lost the thread, I think, of the position, and Ding has just played some very strong moves, right? I mean, some very unpleasant moves, but you know, it's just it doesn't make any sense now. You know, the whole black position just doesn't make any sense. He's just got no center at all, basically. You know, and he's just trying to play around the edges. But yeah, he's got lots of weaknesses as well. And all of his pieces, it's always the same, right? I mean, I expected Gukesh to put the bishop on h7 because that seemed to be, he favored that another time when I was expecting bishop g6. If he played the bishop to h7, knight f4 would not be as strong, but now it is because we're threatening knight g6. You know, it's one of those things that when things start going wrong, you automatically start putting your pieces on slightly wrong squares, and that's basically all that it's been for Gukesh. So yeah, no, I mean, this has been a very convincing game from Ding. I mean, actually, to be honest, the first game was very convincing as well. Actually, yeah, it's I've got to say his 2 wins have been, if this turns out to be a win, will have been absolutely outstanding. Really, you know, can really go into best games collection somehow. I don't know what Gukesh can do, to be honest. I really don't know what he can do. I really don't know what he can do here. It's going to be hard to find a move somehow. I mean, sometimes the best way to do it is you just make a holding move and then you just let white find the win. And if he does, then that's great. Well done him. And otherwise not. I mean, I'd be a move like bishop h7, for example, is vaguely tempting. Just move them. Just don't take off the obvious threat, and then let white, let white try and do something. And I mean, in all fairness, we're saying, yeah. Oh God, God. Yes, of course. Sorry, I was thinking. After c5 you could play knight d5. You can't even do that anymore. You're getting forked. Oh my goodness me! You can't even get the compensation. Maybe that's what he's going to do. Maybe after c5 he's going to play bishop f4. Maybe that's the idea. Looking for knight and then knight d5. That's what he's going to try and do, I think. Bishop h7. c5, bishop f4. Big question is, can we go c takes b6 in this position with the rather evil and venomous trick that can play bishop d6? Oh God. Oh, God, that's it. This is it. This is it. Oh, d5 wins the piece. This is it. This is it. Yeah. Oh, I think we're already into the we're well into the territory, it looks like, of everything loses, right? We've played bishop f4 already. We're well into the territory of everything loses, I'm afraid. Yeah. That line was quite nice, I have to say. But oh dear, this is rough. I mean, I think that if Gukesh plays a move like rook c8, I think we're just playing queen c3 again now, which is a lovely idea, and you're stopping knight coming to a5, you're threatening d5. It's like the world's best position. It's like you've never seen a position that's better than this one for Ding. I mean, I think if you're looking at it objectively, I think e3, queen c3 is probably the best move objectively. It's gone rook c8. Okay, then Ding is going to play queen c3 now. After rook c8, rook c8 has been played. Queen c3 is going to be the move. Correct me if I'm wrong, Leela. Oh, yeah, d5 also, but queen c3 is also very good. Oh God, you can even do it. Okay, you can do it already. Yeah, I think Ding will play queen c3. It's such a nice move, but actually tactically we're already there. We can already do this one, apparently. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit complicated, right? I mean, why would anyone want to calculate this? Because queen c3 is much nicer. And then all you need to do is to find something against f6. What is Leela saying? Let's have a look. Oh, Leela says just keep on going. Leela just says go d5 and d6 again. Now, the nice thing about having the queen on c3 is that after knight d3 takes c1, you're not actually he's not actually attacking the queen, so it just gives, and you're not actually in the way of e3 either. So, that's that looks really powerful. Bishop takes c4. I mean, I thoroughly believe that this works, but okay, let's have a look. There's a few little tactics. I play queen c3. Of course, he has Ding. That's the grandmaster move, and just put the unpleasantness back on black. To be honest, I'd be almost thinking of resigning in this position. Almost. Only a sense that it is expected of me to not to give up immediately would persuade me to carry on, but it's really getting that bad. It really is getting that bad. So yeah, I think f6 is more or less the only move, really. I mean, if you play a move like queen e7, I just go d5, and I go d6 like this, and you're just sort of you can't even do stuff like this because I take it off. Your queen's all wrong. So I think f6 to put a knight on e5 will be the only move, but it's horrible. It's really horrible. Yeah, and here we have to see how we want to carry on here somehow. I mean, Leela's going for the quick kill with d6 to d5. I don't know whether yeah, I don't know whether that's you can understand that it looks quite good for as a human player, but you might just sort of think that it's a shame to mess up your position like that. I mean, I'd sort of like to just somehow try and double up on the e file, force black to play f5, you know, and that would be quite nice somehow. You've got to be a little bit careful. It's rook e3. You might have this move knight e5, although, yeah, we're even getting to the point where this is looking quite tempting. You're breaking up everything somehow, and also the king side as well. Gukesh should be playing it. Should just be trying to play and move faster. He's got to realise it's just so bad that that there's no point anymore. Simply, it's got to put some more pressure on Ding. Yeah, rook d2 maybe is interesting, just to play rook e2. And the question is whether, yeah, black can play a move like bishop 7, but I think we can just go d5 then, and then afterwards we can have rook e4 then as well. You know, I think, yeah, rook d2 feels, if you can do it, then rook d2 feels quite nice, I think. And just wait. You want to wait for black to make the mistakes now. You know, there's no, yeah. Thing is, you know, I think what you want to do, and this is why queen c3 is such a good move. You just want to wait for black now to self-destruct, you know, and just find some small strengthening that'll make your position even better, and then watch black self-destruct, trying to prevent even that, you know. I think Gukesh needs to. He's not going to save this by normal means. He's only going to save this if Ding gets nervous and messes it up. That's the only way he's going to save it. Yeah, we're too far away for a devilish trap. I think we've got to get closer to something or other. You know, it's this is where these guys like Hikaru or yeah, Magnus as well. They know their last chance was just to try and somehow get something on time, make the opponent nervous, anything, you know, really. And so that's the only chance. I think Gukesh shouldn't be spending all this time, or you know, he should be just playing any move fast and off we go. And f6 is pretty much, yeah. Whew, this is tough. What a horrible position. Leela queen odds would win with black. My goodness. Yeah, that would be good lord. Oh God. But he's just losing the I mean, he's just what? Yeah, actually says it doesn't think it's, but I mean, knight a7 is just winning the exchange, right? Just for nothing already. I mean, that's so bad, right? I mean, that's just so bad. And I mean, d5 is also huge. Knight a7 is just so. I mean, you've got no chances here as black. Wow. Oof. Leela thinks knight a7 is the way. Yeah, I mean, I think that's because I mean you're barely losing any of your advantages, right? By doing this, it's just you still got the two bishops, you still got a nice center, but you're just the exchange up as well. Yeah, d5 also looks very strong. Leela seems to think that knight a6 might be some sort of defense, which looks implausible, but we'll kind of believe Leela. Maybe you can sort of yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're slightly better organized with the knight on a6, but yeah, knight a7 winning exchange is just in principle it's game over, right? Obviously, it's always tough to put these things away, but I mean, you're so powerful. I mean, you're going to be doing well to hold the e4 pawn, you know, in subsequent play. Yeah, f3 from Leela is also a very nice move. You know, just you're just completely, yeah. I mean, this is quite sadistic somehow from Leela. But you know, but from a human perspective, maybe less clear somehow. You know, so I think knight a7. I think the only doubt you can have really is that you know, am I cashing in too early on this? But I mean, I think you go knight a7 and then you just set about opening the center, exchanging off pieces, and off you go. You know, just an easy win somehow. But okay, you know, I mean, Ding is gonna. Let's have a look at Leela's line here. Knight a7 takes b3. Okay, interesting. Just freeing the overbind, and then you're just going for a4, a5. Yeah, Leela just taking its time. Yeah, just nice and smoothly picking up a few extra advantages, and then just winning it easily. Yeah. Okay, Ding is going to get nervous, of course, right? So double the time of Gukesh. It's Ding is going to get nervous now. Obviously, can't possibly help it. So you know, this is all. Anything's still possible. Well, I would have said that a Ding loss is not possible anymore, but d5, queen d7 whacked out. So Ding not even taking the exchange. I wonder whether he'll regret that or not. I'm not sure about that. It was a good move, d5, but I'm just not sure. I just think you might as well just have taken the exchange. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But maybe he's just flying, yeah? Maybe he's just I mean, you don't need to play the very best engine move, eh? I mean, yeah, I mean something like f3, for example, would be a very natural human move to play, just to open up the lines there. You know, this also looks just awesome somehow. You know, the one thing that I always found. I mean, often I felt that moves like d5 were the best rather than taking material. But then after I played them and then the opponent avoided it, I felt like I'd lost something somehow. You know, like, oh, I should have taken the material really. So, you know, and the difficulty with the move d6 is that black actually has got, oops, sorry. Sorry, I'm going bananas here. Is that black has actually got a square on d4 for the knight. So that just feels a little bit awkward, irritating. That's why, yeah, this move b4 is very nice, of course. Just you're attacking the knight on b6 now. But yeah, this is not obvious from Leela, and you're only going to be an exchange up afterwards. But d65 is Gukesh. Gukesh is really just blitzing out, right? Wow, if Ding finds the move knight c7 and b4, then I'm so impressed. My goodness me. I don't think I would have thought of this plan at all. But maybe Gukesh is going to go knight c6, actually. That feels like a more normal death. Oh, rook f8 played. Okay, I mean, if if b4 gets played here, then I'm in absolute awe. That is very impressive. What other moves does Leela suggest here? Oh, that might be. Well, actually, come to think of it, I've just realised even the e4 pawn is hanging here. I mean, this is pretty. You've got a knight on d4, but it's not going to mean very much somehow, yeah. So, I mean, this would also be absolutely awesome. Maybe you go b4 now, actually. Maybe this is what you do now. Takes. Hitting that one. Oh, wait a minute. Got to watch out, though. Wait a minute. Oh, no, you don't have to watch out. Here you can just take and go queen. That would be winning. But I think probably if I go b4 in this position, you've got to watch out for this, yeah? Because rook d1 is killing. Couple of traps. But okay, maybe you go. What would you go? Bishop h6, for example. Oh, that might be just winning, yeah? Bishop h6 takes rook g4. f5, rook e7 takes queen g7. Well, that is seriously winning. What is Leela saying about that? Leela's saying b4, actually. Strange enough. Well, it's just going to be countless wins, I guess. Oh, sorry, I'm move it up there. Leela's saying b4. Queen. Bleh! Oh, Leela just wants to. Yeah, Leela's just enjoying itself here, just really overdoing it completely. No human player is ever going to do that. Yeah, Ding's just playing it simply. Bishop e4, knight c6. Yeah, I mean, you've got to give it to Gukesh. I mean, he's doing it the only way he can, which is he's just trying to play fast moves and do whatever. I mean, I am thinking now that I would maybe just want to take on c6 now. Actually, I mean, this looks kind of really very strong, right? I know you're giving up your bishop, but you're kind of dominating completely here. Oh, bishop g2 simply. Oh, God, that's nice. That's very nice. That's very nice. Was that Leela's move? No, Leela was on bishop c6 as well. Yeah, Leela was on bishop c6. Oh, well, there we are. You see, great minds, great minds. But bishop g2 is very nice. I mean, to be honest, bishop g2 is probably even more depressing for a human player. Because you're not even, you just say, oh God, knight d4, there's rook e7, and I'm not even getting the bishop. I mean, the thing about a move like bishop c6, even if it's the best one, you say, I've got a light square bishop, he's got light squares, but here, rook d8. So I'm thinking we're going to look at b4 now, yeah? Oops, sorry. b4 now or something. Knight d5 for leader or b4. Yeah, I mean, knight d5 is awesome as well. It's getting to the point where resignation is starting to seem like the correct option here, to be honest. Really, it's just knight d5 is very strong because you take back with the c pawn and then the knight's lost its stuff and then you just go wherever. Queen b4, you've got rook e7 coming in. Oh, maybe. Well, that would lose the exchange. Oh no, it wouldn't even lose the exchange. You could go rook e7. It's just all terrible. b4 is also quite nice. I mean, I do like this idea because you take the pawn on b7, and then Leela just wants you to sacrifice the exchange. I wouldn't be surprised seeing Ding do that one. To be honest, he likes these clear exchange sacrifices. But oh, he's got knight d5. Oh, Ding's playing this really strongly. I think you could resign now, to be honest. There's no hope in this position. There's just no hope, simply. Yeah, this is really easy to convert, McQuiggy. It really is too easy. You could resign here. You really could. I mean, there's just no, there is just no hope here. It's just too bad. I mean, probably the simplest is knight d4, queen takes, knight b3. You go queen c7 simply, and whatever your next move is going to be, rook e7, and I mean, it's just nothing to be done. Knight b8. Yep, queen c5. Was knight b8 the queen c5, rook c8. Yeah, queen d4, I would expect from white. Keep an eye on that pawn. Look at going rook e7. I guess black will play rook e8. Yeah, this is really awesome somehow. Always amazes you that there's not an absolutely immediately winning continuation here, but yeah, queen d4 played. Just 2 pawns up, 2 bishops, and a huge position as well. It's really, really excellent. Wow, what a game from Ding. Oof, knight a6. Wow. Rook e7 now, surely. Yeah, Leela saying bishop e5, which I was wondering about actually. Just to you just want to try and loosen up the king side, then you'll have the potential attack as well. I mean, if f6, you maybe got queen g4 or something. It's quite nice because I'm threatening this one, and after here I go bishop f6, because if rook f6, I've got queen c8, which is quite nice. Winning, I suppose. Although you got to watch out. Got to watch out on the old counter tactics. We don't want Ding to lose this somehow. Queen c3 would probably be the move. Hitting g7 like that. That would be very strong. d7, rook c4. Wow. Okay, but there's no. I mean, we could even sack the queen, right? We could have sacked the queen. We could have gone queen c4 and rook e8 here, I think. I think that was just totally winning, right? What was the defense against that, actually? Oh, you had queens. No. God. Rook c2. Oh, what's happening here? It's hard to keep up. Yeah, queen takes c4 was really nice somehow. That would have been a really easy win. What are we going to do here? Bishop d6, I guess, yeah? I think that's the move we want. Bishop d6 looks good. That just looks winning. I don't think you can stop e8 then. We'll see what bishop f1 is possible. Yeah, I mean that's very strong. The only thing about bishop f1, bishop d6 played. That's much more natural human. Yeah, the thing about bishop f1 is that black plays queen b2, and then you've got to calculate that. Probably go rook d2 actually, to be honest. But bishop d6 is huge. Just threatening rook e8. And if you go f6 to try and cover it, then we just take, and then queen after. So this feels, yeah, but this is very much Ding against Jan Nepomniachtchi, yeah? Was that also the 12th game, by the way? Just wondering, but that game where Ding sacrificed the exchange, and played beautifully, controlled Jan, and, yeah. I seriously think the choice of opening was bad. I think knight c6 was just really not going to be the way to play this. I think it's just, I think after that he was already in big trouble somehow. But this is awesome! What a match! Can you imagine? We're going to be tied after 12 games with a win and then a clutch. Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's had everything: the seeming collapse of the champion and then the grand return. I mean, incredible. Wow. God, I wonder what's going to happen in the last 2 games. I just can't imagine somehow, yeah? Game 12 was the Colle game. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, rook f6 played, rook g7 check. Finish it in style. Anything wins. Yeah. Good game, Ding. Good game. Oh. No, I mean, I like both players equally, yeah? No particular favorite or anything, but so glad to see. I mean, we're getting the best world championship we could ever hope for, right? Tied with 2 games to go, both players winning. Brilliant! Wow, Ding. Well, he definitely deserves a big hug from Rapport now. It's amazing, amazing, absolutely amazing. But wow. Use his first 4 minutes on move 3. Yeah, that's the game is finished now. So we go back to Stockfish against Berserk. Indeed, it's what a game! What a game! That's a brilliant game, really brilliant game. I mean, I think if just looking back over the moves, the opening choice was great, and I think Gukesh made a bad opening choice there, which I think, to be honest, is the real seed of future problems. But I think what was really impressive was that you were wondering, is Ding going to play d4 too early and just release the tension? But no, he just kept it going, played all these moves, just keeping his position and giving Gukesh some very unpleasant positions. And what you saw gradually, it's very much like a Leela odds game. The margins got smaller and smaller. The moves weren't bad, but the margins got smaller and smaller. And then there was this risky decision, knight d7. But now Black had to really show some amazing judgment after a long sequence of calculation. And Black didn't quite get it, and then Ding just played beautifully all the way. These are real Karpov queen moves, right? These it's always, I mean, if you look at how the white queen has moved, there's a very famous Mihai Marin did a very famous thing where he said there was a game Karpov against Stein where Karpov made 6 moves in 6 moves with this queen in 8 moves, queen c2, c3, b3, c2, and all of a sudden, amazingly, was winning. And this feels very much like this somehow. Yeah, queen c2 to d2, then queen to c3, then queen to c2, and then queen to c3 again. You know, just these little moves with the queen every time adjusting to the situation, and every time, you know, accompanied by an increase in evaluation. And to be honest, Gukesh was completely outplayed here. This was really was a very impressive game, you know. And yeah, this was Gukesh could have resigned way before this. You know, it's just really there was never going to be any hope there. But incredible game, incredible, amazing. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, you know, that's the thing about Ding, right? I mean, that's why he's also so that's why he's also so relatable as a person and as a player somehow, yeah. Because you know, he doesn't hide all the insecurities he has, you know, all the worries and the problems with confidence and everything, and yet, you know, at a crucial moment, he shows the biggest play, the biggest nerves, the biggest ability that you could ever have, and just incredible. Simply, he's simply a guy who can, yeah, who, you know, somehow he's able to marshal himself and play like an absolute god, simply, you know, when he needs to, when he absolutely needs to. So incredible, you know. I mean, I think yeah, you know, any of the great world champions, you know, would have been proud of a game like this. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen in the rest of the game. I mean, normally you'd say that this is such a huge shock, you know, for Gukesh, that how can he possibly recover from it? But yeah, that is, again, yeah, learn from the legends. That's the one, Albert P. But and there's also a DVD course on middle game play, chess-based DVD course by Marin that's also very fine. But I don't know. But the thing about Gukesh is that then we're entering into his superpower, just the ability to, you know, like regroup and refocus and off you go again as if nothing happened. And he's done that many times. This is probably going to be the toughest one he's ever had to recover from, I think. But yeah, I sort of do think that he's going to be able to. But it goes to show that that's why you've got to be so careful. I think if Ding is provoked and really forced to play well, then he's got his level. Wow, he's got his maximum level, you know. And that's really, yeah, it's just that, yeah, you know, he's not always he's just not always there. But if he's forced to play, then wow, he can play. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would think, well, for me, it would be impossible to recover from this. I mean, that's absolutely clear. But I think that Gukesh is the one player with the right temperament to do this. He's very, you know, you've also got a rest day, which I think helps. I think to try and play immediately after this one would be very tough. But it's the best I've seen him in since the last World Championship, simply, yeah. I think he played exceptionally in some games of the last World Championship, and after that, yeah. Yeah, this is really good. I mean, I think, you know, I think it's also, to be honest, I think it's very positive for Gukesh as well, right? Because, I mean, if Gukesh manages to get this World Championship and, you know, it's totally up in the air, then, yeah, you know, no one can say that Ding was not playing at his best or whatever, that it was soft or whatever. It's really, you really think that you played against a guy who maybe, you know, he had his confidence issues, but he was his play was absolutely up there. This was really good. Yeah, I mean, I would expect both players to try and push gently only in the last 2 games. I mean, I'd expect Gukesh to try and play a normal opening, an opening that he's comfortable with a little idea, so a Catalan or something like that. And I would expect Ding to go back to his previous attitude of, you know, nice and quiet and not pressing too much somehow. I would have thought that would be it, but yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, no. No one can complain. I mean, some people will do, but they have no right whatsoever. This, you know, I mean, I think the two games that Ding has won have been absolutely stellar level. And to be honest, the games that Gukesh, the two games 7 and 8 that Gukesh just failed to win, were also of stellar standard as well. So, I mean, I think we've had 4 wonderful games already. You know, it's yeah. Now Ding's so funny. It's hard to understand or judge, and yet somehow very relatable. What you can't understand is that somebody that can have all the frailties that you really feel yourself can then just be so much stronger than you, right? I mean, that's the case. Really, yeah, really incredible. Oh, what a world championship this is. That's why you love the world championship, right? That's why it's better than all this rapid and blitz and everything. It's rapid and blitz has got nothing compared to seeing such a thing develop in front of you. And that's like the TCC, right? I mean, the long engine games, you see it all developing. You have you saying, how can this happen? How can this be? And you know, yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. I frankly think, it's of course it's not only that, but I frankly think that the opening choice was really bad. I think that was really that just set Gukesh up for a position that was just a little bit passive all the time, and yeah, and somehow, but who would know that Ding would be so up for it somehow? Yeah, but yeah, really amazing. Wow, 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 wow. Go TCC, yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, so what I'm going to do then, tomorrow is a rest day, so I won't be commentating here, but I will be commentating on Wednesday and Thursday, the whole games. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to miss those for the world, I think. And if there's a blitz on Friday, then I will commentate on that as well. Ah, thank you, USA. And there's one other thing that got mentioned in the chat early on, but there's the on the Thursday evening, you get a double bill of me because there's the Awanda Liang against so 2690 GM Young playing night odds, playing against night odds Leela, 10 plus 5 minutes, 10 minutes plus 5 seconds rather. So should be, I think that's you know, should be a good human experience, you could say, because I think that that time control should give Awanda a reasonable edge, which I think is only fair to start with. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be the normal crazy stuff, and then maybe Awanda will reduce the time control a little bit if he's finding it too easy. But yeah, you know, I think it should be a very nice experience and very nice to see all this. So do if it's a good time for you, then you know, do drop into that, because and you know, might take a look at some of the, if you haven't already, at some of the odds videos I've been putting up. There's 20, 30, 40 of them already, because they're really cool. They're really, really cool. Some money left for lunch today. Yay, USA. So there we are. Thanks very much, everyone. I'm going to round it off there. Thanks so much for all the new oddcast. Thanks so much for confirms he missed Bishop F4. Yeah, that had to be it. Yeah. That was a vicious tactic, right? Just show it again. That was absolutely vicious. I could imagine E takes D4, Bishop F4, not taking the pawn back, but hitting that one, and only after you go there taking back. It just makes all the difference. Yeah, that was vicious. Yeah, that ruined the game. And I think basically he spent all that time thinking about E takes D4, and then he had to play E4 that he just didn't want to play anyway, you know. So I think that was a very tough thing to recover from. So yeah, anyway, see you on Wednesday, hopefully, as many of you as possible. And yeah, please, thank you, Cam. Please do like this vid. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And otherwise, thanks everyone for all the lovely commentary. It's just such a pleasure doing it with all of you. And hope to see you on Wednesday for... let's have a look. It's Steinitz. Oh, Steinitz, Lasker. Lasker a lot. Capablanca, Alekin. Well, I suppose then you have to be a little bit careful. Well, Irva, then Alekin again, and then afterwards Botvinnik, and then afterwards Botvinnik, and then afterwards it's Smyslov, and then afterwards it's Botvinnik, and then afterwards it's I've maybe done one too many, right? Well, Botvinnik came back, then it was Tal, then it was Botvinnik again, then it was Petrosyan, then it was Petrosyan, then it was Spassky, then it was Fischer, then it was Karpov, then it was Karpov, then it was Karpov, then it was Kasparov, lots of times, and then it was Kramnik, and then we start getting into the playoffs then afterwards, and then I'm getting a little bit lost somehow, but that's as far as I get. All right then, thanks very much everyone. See you around. Bye bye.